Y'all ready for this? I love the show. I love you guys. Fucking, let's go Jets. JTS. Jets.
We can't all be beautiful.
You're in the danger zone.
Indeed, you are. Welcome to the Danger Zone, live with Murph every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. What is up, Murph?
Oh man, it's been a week. It's been a relaxing week. Went to the beach for about 4 days. Just flew back last night, and just been getting settled at the house. But it's been a good week. Didn't have to work my ass off all week as I usually do. So I'm here. I'm ready to roll, man, and I'm excited for a guest tonight, man.
Hey, you were at Myrtle Beach, right? Just to tell the audience. Was there? Are you a Harry Potter fan, Murph?
Actually, yeah, I am.
You know what? When I hear Myrtle Beach, I always think of Moaning Myrtle. Was it a pleasure trip or was it a business trip?
It was me and my son went down there, and went to the beach, and we did the thing. Went to Pirates Voyage and dinner show, different shit like Dave and Buster's, stuff like that. It was a good time, man. It was a good time.
Hell yeah, dude! Just yanking your chain, dude. Just to be fully transparent, man, not feeling my best, but I'll tell you what, man. Would never skip this show. You know why? Because it's fun, man, and I'll have fun even if I'm not at my best. So without burying the lead at all, dude, we got a big fish tonight. What can you tell us about that, man?
Hey, this is somebody Dane asked me several months ago, and he's like, man, he's like, if you had like a list of like a bucket list guest list, he's like, tell me a couple of the top names on it. Well, this was probably the first name I said. I think this was the first name I said. The guy we got coming on tonight is the first person that I ever watched any Jet YouTube videos of ever. Like when I first was just putting my little pinky toe in the water, like how it was at the beach, because I was like, is it cold? Is it cold? Nah, it was nice and warm whenever you jump into this guy's videos, because he's got that nice little radio voice. He's always very level-headed, always talks about both sides of every argument, and comes at you with some rational takes, man. So pretty excited to have him on. He's the guy that really got me into Jets YouTube, and just somebody that's a good guy to talk ball with, man.
A freaking man. Dude, one thing about him too, like some guys are high, low, high, low. Steady guy, man. He is one of the steadiest, most consistent YouTubers you're gonna see. 25,000 he's got in his flock, man. He's not here yet. We're expecting him here in a few, but got to take a minute just to like appreciate the fact that he is spending some time with us on a Friday night, man. Because Friday nights are hard for people, man, and that's why like a lot of these guys, if they have an old lady or some kids or something, it I feel bad even asking them. But this guy took the opposite, dude. He was all in. He was wanting to come, and he'll be here in a few, like I said. While we're here, though, I gotta mention, because I don't do it often enough, spike that like button, man. That's our saying around here. Spike it. You can see it right. Let's see where we at here. Yes, there is the figurine. Spike it, man. Spike that like for us. That'll get us, maybe in front of some other eyes. But honestly, the people, I don't care about numbers, man. The people that are coming and hanging out with us on Friday nights are fun people, good time. Once you get so big, you start attracting the trolls and the Debbie Downers. Right now, dude, I don't even care. 417, been stuck at for a while. It's a good 417 though, so I'm cool. But definitely spike that like, because I'm sure there's more cool people out there that aren't always out and about on Friday nights. They'd like to join us too. Um, but back to work on Monday, Murph.
Yes, it's back to work on Monday. I gotta ask you, is the person and the avatar that is spiking the like? I gotta ask, is that like who you picture yourself to be in 10 years with the
Oh, dude,
beard, long flowing red hair, and just straight dunking on
it
dunking
has
on?
you see a little resemblance, right? It's like me if
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like to build a character in like a fantasy world. Yeah, yeah. I had to do it like
So
that. Yeah, man.
that's you 5 years into starting the Murph workout plan with me.
Yeah, yeah.
Is
You know
that
what?
what?
Let's check it out one more time here.
Yeah. Look at the
That
stash.
is,
That is an
dude.
incredible stash.
In it, like I said, if I get sucked into like a portal, hell, well, you see the danger zone in the back corner, right? Like it's
Yeah.
coming for him. But yeah, yeah. One day in a fantasy world, that's me. Alternate universe, right? Oh shit, good
I
times,
just love
man.
it.
I
Uh,
don't know. So let me ask you this. Let's segue right into it. Our first 10 minutes, we kind of just BS. I want to ask you though, like you were at the beach. Did you hear anything that was going on? Because there are some nuggets, and I'm sure Matt is all over them. He's fully plugged in. I'm semi plugged in right now, being June. You may not have been plugged in at all, being on vacation. Talk to me. Have you heard any of the news?
no, I wasn't. I wasn't super plugged in. While I was down there, I was busy doing this and that. When I wasn't, I was just relaxing, chilling. But I do know. Mini camp was going on, right? And got some guys in the building. We had some guys. Even though a lot of stuff it's not mandatory and things like that. We had some veterans in there that were still making their presence known. So I think that's pretty cool. And it's good just to get the team together, get the coaches, used to doing the thing, get them used to their position and who they're coaching and things like that. Those type of things are important, man. This is where it starts. For every championship team, for every first overall pick team, this is where it starts. Mini camp and just getting the guys together and starting to go over a game plan and getting some practices under your belts. Like that's where it's at, man.
You know what? You started mention like or at least the chat, they're already on it. Like who we need to play well, who is not playing well. Honestly, though, guys, we can't forget the pads are not on, so you got to take some of it with a grain of salt. I don't know if like a lot of people were very low on Brandon Stevens right now because Garrett was just cooking him all damn week. But if you watch some of those clips, man, Garrett without pads on, there might not be a human on planet Earth that can contain him. No pads. You know, he's skinnier than me, which is, well, maybe not, but he's almost as skinny as me. You're not like, I'm sorry, but Stevens was just the I don't know, the goat out there. Like he was getting cooked. So we are down on him. We're selling his stock. That is one thing I want to ask.
Anybody ever bought his stock? To be honest,
Well,
I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, maybe some people were, starting to buy in and drink the Kool-Aid a little bit. That happens, every year. Fans, even though we've never heard this person's name before, or it's somebody we're like, oh man, that's less than optimal having him on your team or whatever. Then we start buying in, we start drinking the Kool-Aid. Well, 2024 was a bit of an aberration because he, had an ankle injury and this and that. And in this scheme, our coach is a corner. So, of course, all of our cornerbacks are going to be good. I don't know. That's what we do, and then we see practices happen and people getting consistently cooked. And then we're surprised when we see it in the real games. We're like, oh, so it wasn't BS like this. All these reports of this person getting cooked all year wasn't, there was something to that. I don't know. I'm not throwing him out yet. There's still a good chance that he can get himself together. This is just mini camp, guys. Like these guys are just warming up, really. And like you said, there's something to be said for Garrett. Like I think Garrett could be like the top flag football player in the world. Like how shifty and shit he is. I think if you take pads out of the equation, Garrett Wilson would be an absolute menace.
That's what I'm saying. Like, of course, he's going to expose Stevens, and I do think we have our guest of the night. He's getting ready. Going to give him a minute, but I do want to highlight a few of these chats just to catch us up before we get into it with Matt. One of them was something I actually agree with here. JD coming in hot. He says AZ Thomas will have Stevens' job by week 5. You know what? I think they're both going to play a lot, though. I do see that eventually happening. But if it even does, I still believe Stevens going to get a lot of snaps. Like, I think they're going to be a nickel a lot. They're going to be having DBs all over the place is what I'm saying. You got Malachi Moore popping. I don't know. Tony Adams, if he makes the team, like, we talked about it last week. This secondary it can be nasty if things play right. So, Tyson, AZ will be a beast.
There's a lot of competition in it too, man, in this secondary. I'm really excited to see how things shake out. We were talking last week about the safety room, even the corner room, because if Thomas is killing it, if AZ Thomas is killing it, and then Stevens is having a really rough camp, it's possible, man. It's possible we may only get a few weeks out of Stevens before Glenn is like, this ain't it, and benches him. But I'm not writing the kid out just yet. He's a vet, dude. And a lot of times, people as they get their bodies back used to being in the fold, they they might look a little rusty at times, but we'll see how it goes. I want to wait a little longer to see how things shape up.
You know what? Your opinion, like I said, the guy we're about to talk to, he's even more plugged in than me because, again, it's June. He might sway us on a couple topics, and that's what I do want to get in. I want to talk to him about Brees. I want to talk to him about Fields a little bit. You know me with the quarterbacks. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but Fields, Brees, the secondary, the safety room is very intriguing. What's next to Quinnen, all this stuff. if we, assuming we can get through it, I do want to get his thoughts. Without further ado, man, 25,000. This guy, man, he has been at it for probably one of the longest, dude. I'm curious, but let's bring him out, see what he has to say, dude. And again, thank him for joining us in the Danger Zone on a Friday night.
Dayne-O and Murphh, what's going on, fellas? How are we?
Good, man. Good. In the beginning, we were talking about how Dane had asked me several months ago about like a bucket list, guest list of guys that I'd like to have on. And first name came out of my mouth was Mr. Matt Leary. You are the fella that got me into Jets YouTube. I don't know if you know that. I doubt you would know that, but and that's what kind of caused me to meet all these people and make all these friends that live across the coast and stuff like that. Like, so yeah, you really kind of introduced me into this world, and it's been a fun ride, even though the Jets haven't really given us much to ride. Like,
that's the best part. I appreciate that, but I agree with you, man. The amount of people that I've been able to meet just through doing this over the years, and friendships and people that I would have never known if I didn't start doing this. So I'm right there with you. It's a blast, even though this team isn't very good. It's a passionate fan base, and man, people want to talk about this team every day. Like, here we are, we're in the middle of June and we're talking Jets football on a Friday night.
The other thing too is like the NFL has grown so much that you have people. I mean, Murph, he's in West Virginia. Me, I was Ohio, PA, and now I'm Oregon. Like, what can tie all these Jet fans? A couple in each state, even YouTube, man. Everybody's, because like, I don't know what percentage of your audience is in market, but I bet you a large chunk is out of market.
Yeah, more than you would think, right? Like, most people think, oh, it's got to be 100% New York, New Jersey. It's a large chunk New York, New Jersey, but it's all over, man. Like, people in Florida or all across the country and even overseas. To me, that's the craziest when you look and it's like, man, I can't believe people are watching me in like the UK. That's wild.
yes. And not to mention all the Russian bots.
Those can't forget that.
Those are my favorite. No,
dude, I get some of those. I do. Like, I look at my stats and it's like Ukraine 1.2%. I'm like, what the hell? But Matt, dude, I just want to take a beat. Thanks for real. I've watched you for years. He's watched you for years. But just to give the chat a show, let's start with, we just changed regimes, man. Big stuff. Saleh gone, Hackett gone, Keith Carter gone, Joe Douglas gone, all gone, all refreshed. What was your vibe going into that, and what do you think of the hires that we did make?
Yeah, for me, I thought it was something that needed to happen. Unfortunately, I thought they gave Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas enough leash for where it was time. Like, Douglas was here for 6 years. It was year 4 for Robert Saleh. Now, in hindsight, maybe firing him after 5 games wasn't the move, but still, they weren't. Even if they kept him, I don't think that's enough to get them in the playoffs. They were clearly struggling even with him around. So I think they needed to change the direction, which is why I was also open to the idea of moving on from Aaron Rodgers, kind of just cut the slate. We tried it. It didn't work, unfortunately, but they were in a desperate spot, and they went out, they tried to get Rodgers and put this team to the next level. But for me, I'm really a big fan of Aaron Glenn. I love how he speaks. He's very intense, and I think that's kind of the polar opposite in a way of Robert Saleh. Like, both Saleh and Glenn, I think you can describe them as player coaches, but I think they go about it in different ways. And Glenn's a little bit more, again, I'm going to use the same word, but intense. And I like that. I think that's what the guys need. And, I'm excited. This might not be the year where they get over the hump and end that playoff drought, but I would just like to see them take a positive step in the right direction in year 1.
Yeah. So we've seen just the first initial tidbits. We all haven't seen a game yet from Aaron Glenn. Um, the draft, the free agency is mostly gone. Of course, we could, maybe sign a straggler or two here or there, especially now that post June cuts are done and things like that. The draft is done. They got their first draft under the belts. Although, with with draft your first draft, you still have scouts from the previous regime. Obviously, there are things to consider, in that. But I just wanted to get your, just maybe a quick little overview on how you feel like they've done in building the team their way with their culture, and how maybe that first draft went for them, and what the outlook is looking like as of right now.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point with the draft is that it might take a little bit of time as they transition from the previous regime into the new one. But what I liked was right out of the gate, I think they set the tone of what they were looking for. Like they take Armand Membu in the first round, and to me, that was we're gonna do the little things of finishing an offensive line. And you could have made the case, and I was a big fan of the tight end. I thought Tyler Warren would have been a great pick for the Jets, but I can't sit and I've said this all along too. If you guys watch me, you know what I've said, but I can't get mad at the idea of taking Armand Membu because you're just trying to finish the offensive line, and we know how important it is to have a good offensive line. Then they take Mason Taylor in the second round, tight end, huge position of need. I mean, we debated for so long if they were going to do tight end or offensive line in the first round. And I like that Mason Taylor has that NFL lineage with his dad, Jason Taylor, just because like he has that person in his life who has been through it and knows what it's like to play in the NFL. And like the work ethic's going to be there. And that's really my main takeaway is I think the Jets are doing a good job right now of getting guys to buy in and players who are going to buy in. Like Glenn spoke this week and said that they don't have any really problems on this roster. Like everyone's a good character guy, which that's half the battle. You also have to win games, and I'm sure eventually we'll get there. But step one, we talk about setting a culture. You got to have the right people in the building to do that. And I'm optimistic that they do with what they added in the draft and just some of the guys that were already here.
I do want to ask you a spontaneous question because you mentioned the Membu thing, and like, do you think Morgan Moses because my theory was you could have kept Morgan Moses, took Tyler Warren. I'm glad they didn't because we still got Taylor in the second round, but it just makes me wonder, like, was it the age? Clearly everything they've done since then kind of points that way, but what do you think of that Morgan Moses walking?
Yeah, I think it could be one of two things. And one of the theories that you just mentioned, which makes a lot of sense, is the age. They have gotten a lot younger this offseason, so maybe that's a part of it. Another thing that I would add is, in addition to that, maybe it was the 3-year deal that he got. Like, I don't know, behind the scenes, maybe they offered him a 1-year deal and was like, hey, like, if you want to come back in 2025, we'll do it. But then the Patriots blow him out of the water and offer him 3 years. And he's like, I can't pass up that money. So I don't really blame the Jets for not wanting to sign Morgan Moses to a 3-year deal. I was open to the idea of bringing him back. I thought, he's a good veteran leader. And I thought when he was healthy and in there, he played okay. But whether it was one, the age like Dayne-O brought up, or two, maybe they just weren't comfortable going to that 3-year deal or what he got in New England. So I think it's either of those scenarios, make a lot of sense.
Well, since we're on the offensive line, it's something I did want to go over with you. You said that you liked the approach and how they started their draft by drafting Armand Membu, setting a tone, saying, hey, we're going to start here at the trench. We're going to start here at the offensive line. Now, last year, maybe not all year, but towards the end of the year, it really felt like our offensive line was starting to click a little bit, like in my opinion, especially after, we got Fashanu in there instead of the unnamed guy that we're not going to talk about in a moment. Another free agent bust. But so the projection for our offensive line, to me, I think looks pretty positive. But I did want to get your opinion on it. Do you think that this unit that we have right now could set a tone to be maybe a top 12 unit for this year and several years into the future, maybe? What do you think? Or do you think we still need some work?
Yeah, I'm very optimistic about the offensive line. I think that has a chance to be one of the strengths on this team. To me, it's all comes down to health. And Elijah Vera Tucker was relatively healthy last year. He played, I believe it was 15 or 17 games. If you get something like that, 15 plus games from him this year. I know there's the competition going around with Joe Tippmann and Myers, but for me, I really like the growth that competition in air quotes there. That's what I've been saying. But I I really like the progress that I saw from Joe Tippmann last year. Now, I like Myers for depth. Like, I think he's a good backup. And, if God forbid there is an injury to either AVT or John Simpson, what I think you could do is slide Tippmann to one of those spots. And then you have, a center who's comfortable working with Justin Fields that you could just plug in there. But adding Membu to finish that right side, I get it and I like it. And Murph was just mentioned it with Olu. It was night and day to me when he came in. The difference in the offensive line play. I think he is another one who is poised to just take another step forward in his development. I was really high on him coming out of school. It was at first we were thinking maybe he wouldn't make it to the Jets at pick. Where were they last year? Pick 10, and then I think they moved down a spot to end up picking 11th, and they still were able to grab him. But it's a young unit, and there's a lot of upside. They just have to, one, stay healthy, and two, actually play to that potential.
A lot of it comes down to
Agreed.
the coach.
Yeah, and how much of last year? And I don't know, Matt. I'm getting a little feedback from you when I talk. I don't know if that's something you can adjust, but just a heads up. Keith Carter, how much do you blame the O line on Keith Carter? And like, is this new guy going to be better, worse? We got Angstrand to talk about. I don't know. I'm just glad we have a fresh approach in every room. Son's wide receiver. But let me jump forward a bit. I want to ask you about camp specifically. He was at the beach. I was only semi plugged in, but I did see some stuff. Contract talks. Let me just get your take there. What do you think of Sauce possibly getting the top of the market, which is $30 million a year? Kind of scary when you think cornerback 30. Garrett Wilson. I mean, you got guys making 40 now. Do you care about the numbers? Do you sign both max deals? Where are you at there?
So I switched the setting. So let me know if it got any better when you were talking. But yeah, for both those guys, and Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, I would sign both of them. And I know Sauce coming off the down year, some people are a little apprehensive to do that, but my argument about it would be I'm betting on the first 2 years more so than the last year. I think this past year was the outlier. Like, we saw him his first 2 years play at an all-pro level, and the longer you wait, I think the price tag is just going to continue to go up. Like, we saw the market explode this year with the JC Horn contract, and then Derek Stingley gets $30 million a year. If you continue to wait, what is it going to be next year? Is it going to go up to 35 million? So I think the longer you put it off, you're just going to end up costing yourself in the end. And for Garrett, like, I know he hasn't produced as a top, like top 5, maybe wide receiver, but I would be comfortable giving him a contract similar to, like, I think the Brandon Ayuk deal, he got 4 for 120. So a 30 million AAV. I think that's where they both end up around, plus or minus maybe a couple $1 million on either side. But my expectation would be for Sauce and Garrett to sign for right around $30 million. And I'd be comfortable with it. I think that's what you want to do. You want to grab and, you draft well and then sign those guys to stick around for their prime.
I tell you what, if Sauce has a bounce back, or I don't even think that last year was that bad of a year. It wasn't up to his standard, though, because he set an unrealistic standard his first 2 years. If he has this bounce back or even builds off of his first 2 years, I'm going to become the biggest Ice Spice fan ever because all that boy needed was to get the venom out, man. So I don't like her now. I don't understand the appeal, but I will become the biggest Ice Spice fan.
Yeah, I love it, man. If it works, just ride it out. That's what I say.
I bet he is. So yeah, one of the
Hey,
things I was actually
Friday night. I just want to cheer you guys, man. We're formal up till now, but like, don't. It's Friday night, man. We're just
yes.
appreciate you being here. I do want to talk to you about Met stuff. We're getting there, as you can see. They're playing right now. Do you know what the score is, by the way?
Yeah, I have. So if you see me look up above my
Yeah.
camera, I have the TV behind me. So they're down 7-5 right now. They were up 5-1 before, and it kind of just fell apart in either the fifth, the top of the fifth or sixth inning. I forget which one it was, but Soto just got another hit. So hopefully got a little rally going right now.
Dude, the first 2/3 of their lineup can really go when they want. We'll get back to that. Murph, I think you had a question. I cut you off. Where were you with what you had going on?
I had to switch hats when you guys started talking to
Oh,
baseball. Anyway, anyway, so Matt, I was actually watching one of your videos earlier before came on, trying to get a little brush up on some of the camp stuff. And that's something, by the way, guys, if you're listening, Matt's one of the best people for stuff like updates on like how camp's going and things like that. Matt always he's not afraid to put out an 8-minute video saying, "Hey, we freaking suck today," or "Hey, some good, some bad, whatever it may be." That's your guy to go to for that type of stuff. So one thing that you had mentioned, and I don't want to ruin the video necessarily because you did some 3 people stock rising, 3 people, depleting, whatever you want to call it. Somebody that you mentioned, Corley, like obviously he's having a rough go of it right now, like dealing with an injury and so on and so forth. I wanted to ask you, is Corley about to fall off this train? Is it more likely that we have both Arians and Smith and Corley on this roster than it is for just one of them to be on? I mean, just kind of give me your thoughts on that. Is Corley, are we kicking Corley off the boat already?
Yeah, that's the tough part for me. And one of the reasons why I mentioned him in the video was because we just really haven't seen him in either OTAs or minicamp. He's been hurt for both. And, Aaron Glenn had a quote, essentially paraphrasing, but he essentially said, "You can't make the club in the tub," meaning like if you're injured and you're not out there, it's going to be tough to earn a spot. And my point in the video was, this isn't the regime that drafted him. They don't care that he was a 3rd-round pick a year ago. They're going to keep their guys. They drafted Arian Smith this year, and they're just going to, if he plays well enough in training camp to make the roster, then fine. But whether it's the injury or if he's just really not standing out in comparison to some of these other guys, they don't really owe him that roster spot. So, to me, I just think it's an uphill battle for him. I'm not saying that he can't do it, but I mean, he's got to get healthy first because, again, we didn't see him in OTAs, didn't see him in minicamp. He has to show something in training camp to make this roster. His roster spot is not guaranteed by any stretch to me.
Honestly, yeah, him not being on the practice field is like the first day of school. Your first day of high school, and you're not there the first week. Like, he's behind. If just first impressions, everything. It's just, it leads me to my next question, because I do feel good about what our running game can become. The defense, I love the back end. I like the front 7. Wide receivers 2-4. We just talked Corley with Arian Smith. Can wide receivers 2-4 hamper us though?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the bigger question marks on this roster to me, in my opinion. Now, I think they're gonna really rely on Josh Reynolds as that next guy and essentially the wide receiver 2. And we could say that in air quotes because I don't really know how much it matters, but like 2-4, like the definition of who their number 2 is. But I think why they'll lean on him is because in Detroit, he was essentially their number 2 receiver 2 years ago. And I get it. This past year, he wasn't there. He was started in Denver, and then he gets claimed by Jacksonville, and just injuries and off the field, just wasn't able to get it going last year. But I think obviously Tanner Engstrand coming over from Detroit, I think he's going to look to him and go, this guy knows my offense. Like, I don't have to worry that he's going to be in the wrong spot or this or that, and he could kind of bring some of the other guys along and just be that veteran presence who, I'm not saying he's going to have a monster season, but can he be the fourth or fifth target in the passing offense behind, Garrett number one, and then either Mason Taylor and Breece Hall 2, 3, in whatever order you want to put them in. And then, like I said, maybe Reynolds is your fourth target. And if he's catching 3 passes a game, 3, 4 passes a game, I think there's a world where it's successful, but it's not going to look like it did at the end of last year when it was Garrett and Devontae Adams. Like, those are 2 guys who essentially are both number ones. The Jets don't have that anymore, but that's not the style of offense they're going to play. They're going to run the ball and hopefully, play good defense and have a lead at that point and be trying to close out a game.
Yeah, man. So speaking of the run game, it's almost like you do this for a living, Matt. It's like you're throwing layups to me, but I suck at basketball and I miss them. So, not this time. Speaking of running, I'm just curious. This has been like a recycled talking point. I swear it pops up once every 2 or 3 months. Breece Hall. Like, I keep hearing trade Breece Hall. Are we going to trade him? What's going on with him? We hear about these extensions for Garrett and Sauce potentially, but we're not hearing a whole lot about Breece. So I'm just wanting to know, like, the outlook. Do you think that the outlook for this season, are we going? First of all, seems like we're going to be a run-heavy team from what you're saying, from what I'm reading. Draft of offensive linemen first round, things like that. A lot of the signs point towards that way. Does Breece Hall return to form this year? Because I'll be honest, he looked awful last year. Just no vision. Like, I don't know how you lose your vision, but I mean, I don't know, man. But he didn't look great last year. Is he returning to form this year? If so, or if not, are we considering trading him midway through the season, depending on how things are going? Are we just going to ride it out, let him become a free agent, or is there some extension talks? What do you think? What's the outlook for Breece Hall and this run game, Matt?
So for me with Breece, I would just let this year play out, and that kind of dictates what you're going to end up doing for him. So to kind of work backwards here, you first were talking about, is he a bounce back candidate? I think yes, and I know last year wasn't up to the standard we were hoping for out of Breece Hall. I think the improved offensive line is going to help. I think the scheme is better. They're going to be back to more of a wide zone rushing attack, which I think kind of fits him a little bit more than they went much more inside rushes last year. And I just don't think that was playing to what he's good at, but also you had Justin Fields and Tanner Engstrand already talking about Breece Hall as a pass catcher. I know we're on rushing, but just overall in general, I think Breece is going to be utilized a lot as both a rusher and a pass catcher. And I don't know if it's fair to say he's going to have, Jahmyr Gibbs like season, but I just mean that they're going to use him in a similar way that Detroit uses Gibbs, where he's both a rusher and a pass catcher. So I'm holding on to my Breece Hall stock. I think if you get to a point where, nobody wants this to happen, but if you start the year 2-5 or 2-6 or whatever, and you get to the trade deadline and someone's calling you and offering you a pick for Breece Hall, yeah, you probably have to think about it. But, if you're still in the mix and Breece Hall is playing well, I would really be, honestly, I think I'd be open to the franchise tag. I think it's a low number for a running back. There's a reason why a lot of teams do that now. After the rookie contract, they usually toss on a franchise tag because it's not a crazy amount of money in comparison to some of the other positions. So that's how I think that would be my approach. I'm not saying it's impossible for him to get a long-term extension, but I think the money that you're likely going to give to Garrett and Sauce and maybe eventually Jermaine Johnson or Elijah Vera Tucker, to me, I think you just let it ride out. If you want to bring him back, I'd franchise tag him and bring him back for that 5th year. And then you kind of take it from there.
You know what? I want to chime in on this because it's been well documented around here. Breece Hall, I was so disappointed in him last year, like a father, his kid, that kind of disappointed. And I was okay if someone offered us a day 2 pick during the draft. I would just cut my loss. But you're right. You hang on to him. I do believe he is much better in this scheme. Like when we drafted Braylon Allen, we were talking, me and Daniel, last summer. I think everyone was like, you can make Braylon Montgomery, Brees Gibbs, and the staff was just clueless. We just wasted a year of it. Now we have Detroit staff, and it's hard not to make that connection again. And I actually think back, I think it was 2 playoffs ago. Brees actually tweeted during a Lions game and said, and I quote, the way they're using Jahmyr Gibbs right now is a running back's dream. So, like, there you go. It hammers your point home. Like, but again, we wanted this last summer. The staff couldn't deliver. The running game looked like shit. They kept running him up the middle behind Tippmann. Dude, run him off tackle. Use him as a gadget. Whatever can get him in space. It might spell the end of Corley if we already have our gadget in Brees, but whatever. But now that we're keeping him, I do. Halloween, I evaluate. My phone line's open. If not, I like that though. Keep him, franchise tag him, or get a comp pick, whatever you decide. But you don't have to rush it. You know, you don't have to send him away for a 4th right now, even though we could probably take that hit. Anything about that you disagree with, or?
No, I think that's fair. One of the reasons why I wasn't really comfortable with moving him at the draft was because I didn't think that Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis were ready to carry the load of this rushing attack. Now, if they traded him and then maybe they used the mid-round pick on a running back, that changes it a little bit. But I personally felt like that was creating a hole just to create a hole in a way, and then you'd have to take a back at that spot. But yeah, I'm totally good with like I said, just let it play out. And you mentioned the comp pick. That's another way to get value back. If he walks and signs a big contract somewhere else, well then, great. Hopefully you're getting a 3rd or 4th round pick back in, a couple of years from now. So a lot of teams around the league do it. The Jets don't really usually tend to have a lot of comp picks. This was the first offseason in a while that it feels like they're going to get a couple comp picks back. So, that's another way to recoup some value.
The thing I wanted to say about the whole Brees thing is they need to look at film, right? And I'm not talking about last year's film. Throw that shit in the trash. They need to go all the way back to Brees' rookie year with Mike LaFleur calling plays and developing these plays. And they need to look at to see what LaFleur was doing with Brees and AVT, because the way he was working things, pulling AVT as a guard, having him down the field, different things like that, opening up these holes for Brees, and Brees is just running 60-yard, touchdowns and shit like that. That's the film I think they need to pull up and maybe take a page out of that book, because it was working that rookie year until he got injured.
It was, and I'm sure the injury did play a factor too in him maybe slowing down a little bit the last 2 years. But I think you bring up a good point in the difference from the coordinator. Like, I know Mike LaFleur had his faults, but I thought he was a better play designer than what Nathaniel Hackett was, and I'm excited to see what Tanner Engstrand brings up, because I know he hasn't called plays at the NFL level, but I like the work that he did in Detroit and helping install that offense. And that's another guy that I'm optimistic about. If he comes in and is even just marginally better than Nathaniel Hackett, then I think Brees is one of the names that reaps the rewards.
So earlier, just to segue into something else, Daniel mentioned you had a video where you mentioned stock up, stock down. I don't, again, want to, like Daniel said, give away your takes, guys, in the chat, guys watching on Twitter, which we do have a good bit of people tuned in from Twitter, and I thank you for that, Matt. But I watched The Athletic, Zach Rosenblatt, Tim McMaster. They had a similar list, and I want to see your thoughts on their list. They said Garrett Wilson stock to the moon. I think you agree with that. AZ Thomas stock up. Malachi Moore stock up. And a guy named Jamal Pritchett, who might kick Gibson off the roster for punt returner. Is there any of those 4 guys that you disagree with?
Honestly, I don't know a ton about Pritchett, so he wasn't really someone that I was considering, but AZ Thomas is definitely someone that I think makes sense. He's a really talented kid. I thought he should have went earlier than the top of the 3rd round. I thought he was going to go in like the early 2nd round. So while at the time I was hoping the Jets would take a receiver, like AZ Thomas as a consolation prize in 3rd round is pretty good. I'm not going to get really upset with that, but I'll give you this. One of my stock downs was Brandon Stevens. When I came in here, I know you guys were talking some Brandon Stevens, and if he starts out the year and is struggling out of the gate, there's going to be a lot of pressure on this staff to make a move, I think, because it's really tough to have this kid who's performing well and playing well, and you have, a starting corner who's struggling. And who knows, maybe Stevens finds it in training camp and this isn't a storyline, but right now it feels like AZ Thomas is ascending and Stevens going the other way. So we'll have to keep a close eye on it. They gave him a ton of money though, so that's going to be poor optics to pull the cord that quickly, but they might be forced to.
Yeah, he's committed at least 2 years because it's like 20 guaranteed or something. So I don't know. Maybe we can have them all out there. That's my hope. But
I honestly would like to see, like, I don't want to see Jets players doing badly. Like, I really don't. But I almost want to see that scenario play out early in the season just to see how the coaching staff responds to it. Because we all know that our last regime would have kept the money-making guy in there because he's the one that they're paying the most to. And it doesn't matter. He's a veteran. He'll figure it out. It doesn't matter how bad he looks out there and how good whoever behind him looks. They just wouldn't make the move. And they were so stubborn with their players. Like, I almost want to see that litmus test, right? And then if they were to make the move, then my confidence in Aaron Glenn and this coaching staff goes, not that I have no confidence in him now. I love Aaron Glenn, I like what he's saying. I like the culture, the feeling that he gives, the pressure when he speaks, I love it. But if he's willing to move off of a player that's not performing well, no matter how much money they're making, that's an A+ in my book.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Like the last regime was almost stubborn to a fault. Like they were too loyal to their guys and they're going to figure it out. And whether it's, I don't know, Michael Clemens, Solomon Thomas, like there's just a bunch of names that they loved and they just kept tossing them out. Tony Adams, even last year, I thought he was struggling at times too. Yeah, that'd be a positive sign. I agree with you, Murph. If they make that tough call and put the better player on the field despite money, I think that is a positive sign.
Awesome. I spoke about the chat last time, and again, guys, Matt O'Leary, if you're following me, you're probably following him. But if you're not, down in the description is not only his YouTube, but his Twitter as well. Follow both, please. If you don't have Twitter, just create an account and then follow him after this show. But the chat I mentioned has a question that is awesome. You probably know this guy, and fellow creator DKB has a question. Underrated potential impact player on each side of the ball. Does anything jump to your mind as I step away for 60 seconds?
Yeah, I think I'm going to start on the defensive side because I have a name there. I'm going to, while I'm talking, kind of think of who I want to choose on the offensive side. But for me on the defense, I'm going to go with Byron Cowart, which is a name who's another one of my stock ups. I'm giving away the whole video. I said I wasn't going to do it, but I am doing it anyway. But he's been playing really well. And I think there's an opportunity for him to be that guy next to Quinnen Williams. There's really no one on this roster who is like guaranteed to be that starter next to Quinnen, but so far he's looked like the best of the bunch. So, he's in competition with, Derek Nottie and Leonard Taylor. But right now he looks like he's been the best one. So that might be a under the radar kind of guy to watch on the defense. And for me on offense, I mentioned before, I'm going to go Josh Reynolds because I know that maybe not so much of a household name, but I think that's a guy who has had success in this style of offense before. The coaching staff is familiar with him. They know what he's capable of. I don't think he's going to have a monster season, but I do think that, he'll be that reliable pass catcher on third downs. He's similar stylistically to an Allen Lazard, a bigger blocking outside wide receiver, but I trust his hands more. I think, Lazard the last 2 years has been towards the top of the league in drops and drop rate. So I think Reynolds ends up taking that step up and is that under the radar impact guy.
Matt, it's funny that you mentioned him because I had two questions for you, both of which was going to unveil one of your stock up, you know what I mean? And so I ended up trashing the other one, and the other one was, who the hell is Byron Coward? I was going to ask you, and you ended up doing it anyway. But yeah, hey, that would be excellent to have somebody next to Quinnen, that we can rely on, because right now we haven't had that. I would actually lean towards, I think Leonard Taylor. Like, I understand, like, maybe he's not being too splashy in camp and stuff right now. I think the guy has potential. If he can get his head straight, I think he can be an impact player on defense. Really on defense, a lot of the guys, we know the names. We know the Will McDonalds, we know the Jamie and Sherwoods, we know the Sauce Gardners. So I mean, it's either you're hoping for that other DT to make a splash or one of the safeties, there you go, Charles.
Attaboy, Charles.
And then offense looks a little bleak. I don't know. Underrated impact player for offense. It's got to be one of those other receivers,
I have one on each side of the ball. You might think I'm crazy, but not with the first one. I think you'll get the first one. The first one, I'm going to say Malachi Moore. Just because he could literally play 1,000 snaps. We have no idea. He might. On the offense, though, you might think I'm crazy. I'm going to go Isaiah Davis, and hot take, I think he could finish the year as RB1.
I don't think that's that crazy. I thought I kind of liked Isaiah Davis's game a little bit more than Braylon Allen's last year. Like, I know Allen was kind of the sexier pick because that was a more well-known name and he was taken first before Isaiah Davis, but he flashed a little bit last year. So I kind of like that one. That's a under the radar. That fits that description perfectly, I think.
Well, the other thing is, like, well, A, Brees could be traded. B, he could be injured. But not only that, like, if I'm designing this offense, I'm using Brees in a different role. And if I want an RB1, I want them to be running through the gaps. Brees isn't our best guy at that. So I think Isaiah Davis could be RB1 and Brees still thrive in a creative offense, which I'm hoping we have.
Yeah, I hope so too, man. I think that's a good call out from you because, like you said, it doesn't have to be, Brees running the ball 250 times. He could be impactful. I don't know, maybe he's running closer to 200 times, but he has 90 catches this year and is the leading receiving back in the NFL. I like that call out.
That's a good one, Abby. I don't know why I don't even think I'm a big Cisco guy. But yeah, the bits and pieces that we saw of Isaiah Davis last year, like, just looking at it from an outside perspective, you wouldn't think he was an RB3. You know what I mean? Like, he looks like he has talent, right? So I think there's some potential for that, but the chips really have to fall in place for that to happen. So another question I wanted to get from you, we talked about, like, how you felt about, the team and the hires of Aaron Glenn, Darren Muji, and things like that. We kind of got your take on their draft and their free agency and the outlook for them or whatever. Well, I want to go even further with this, and I have I have like a mindset, because I tend to think about, like, building teams, like, that's my favorite part of all this, and I think about when it comes to having a successful team, to me, you have to have a successful quarterback. Like, I don't think in today's NFL you can get by without it. I really don't. So I'm looking at, like, Justin Fields is a recycle, right? Like we've seen him with 2 other teams before. Could he put it together with us? Of course, you never know. I hope so, because I do kind of like Ohio State too. I'm a WVU guy, but I like Ohio State too. I watched him at Ohio State. You know, if he does, great. That works out for me. I'm totally happy with it. Like we'll pay him all the money if he gives us 4,000-yard passing seasons with
Sure.
another 800 yards rushing and 40 touchdowns. Oh yeah, I'm all about it. But I am not confident that that's going to happen. So when I look at the future, I'm looking at like who's going to be our quarterback. I'm in my head. I don't think it's going to be Justin Fields. It's not going to be Tyrod Taylor. It's definitely it's not going to be Brady Cook, guys. Sorry, I don't want to burst your bubbles here. It's not going to be Brady Cook, even though he has Brady in his name. God forbid. What do in my mind, I feel like you got to draft a quarterback and sit him. I'm very stubborn about that. Got to sit him for a year. I guess you don't have to. The NFL always shoving rookie quarterbacks into the starting role. But so, what is the recipe for success with Glenn moving forward? Like a year, 2, 3 years from now, what do you think he needs to do? Like, does he have to get his quarterback next year? Are we going to sit him behind Fields for a year? Or is the fan base going to be patient enough with him through 2 years of rough, potentially rough football to watch? I don't know. Just give us like your vision of success for Aaron Glenn moving forward.
Yeah, I think the quarterback is obviously most important. It's the most important position on the field, and you have to see what you have with Justin Fields this year. I think it's got to be obvious. If he has it, great. Then he's your guy going forward. But if he either stinks, then that's easy because okay, you're moving on. They probably have a top 5 pick, whatever. But even if it's some good, some bad, to me, that's also easy because then you just go, all right, like we didn't see enough for it to be definitive. It has to be definitive, yes, for me to be like, okay, this is our guy. We're not going to take a quarterback in this year's draft. I like that you brought up sitting a quarterback, and I think the Jets have an opportunity to do that potentially with Justin Fields because he's under contract for next year. So they could find their guy in the first round next year, and you have Justin Fields on the roster, and Fields could be your starter out of the gate. And, maybe they eventually turn it over to that young quarterback at some point during the year. Or like you said, maybe they just ride it out with Fields for that full year. And then hand the keys over to the youngster the following year. What I like is like Fields isn't going to be bad enough, in my opinion, for him to just be flat out cut after this year. I think you could at least get by with him, and it allows you that opportunity to take a quarterback and not have them be that savior, right? Like you took Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold, and there was no competition. You knew both those guys were going to end up starting that year, and they were pretty much like, okay, number 3 overall pick, save us. Okay, number 2 overall pick, save us. And I think they could be in a spot where they set up whoever that young quarterback is in a better situation.
Can I just go on to that real quick? Do you think the fan base is patient enough to wait this year, next year, and then be willing to wait because we have that quarterback in tow for the 3rd year?
I think they should be. It's a good thing to question though, because Jet fans in the past have, been impatient. But with the franchise quarterback, my pushback would be we've seen the Jets do it the other way where they throw the guy in and it hasn't worked. Why do you want to do that again? Why not try it another way and see if it works? It's obviously not a guarantee, right? None of these quarterbacks are a guarantee. Maybe they draft someone, they sit him and he stinks anyway. I hope that's not the case, but at least try something different. And you have that plan with Fields on the roster next year. So I think that makes the most sense.
You know what? I am so scared of spending a top 10 pick on a quarterback because I'm just literally, I don't know, it's PTSD, PTZWD or something. But like once you do it, it's like 3 years minimum that you're going to try to make it work. That I hate. So I'm very glad they didn't just take one. I'll say that. Matt, how long do we have you? Like 10 minutes?
Yeah, I can hang for another 10. That's good.
Okay. I appreciate you. Let me ask you this, because we're talking Fields, talking quarterbacks. My take on Fields is that he has the highest ceiling of any quarterback we've had in 15 years. Is that a hot take, or is that plausible? Like, is that rational?
It is. There's just he's a very high variance quarterback. That's the thing, unfortunately. Like, he has all the tools, with especially with his rushing ability, where he can take that next step forward and be, if his passing even just increases 20% better than what it has been the last couple of years, there's enough there for you to buy in. Unfortunately, we've seen him as a passer in the past where, I don't know, if he has another year where he doesn't hit 3,000 passing yards, then I don't know how you're going into next year and being like, yeah, this is definitely our guy. It just doesn't, make sense. So the talent is absolutely there, but he's got to put it all together. And he hasn't done that consistently enough yet. And I think that's his biggest issue. To the Jets' credit, probably the best offensive line that Justin Fields has ever had. You have Garrett Wilson, who he's familiar with already. I don't know. Is it the most likely scenario that he just pops off and is a top 10 quarterback next year? Probably not, but there's a world where he takes a tangible step forward, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, we never thought we'd see Geno Smith being like a top 12 quarterback in the league, and then all of a sudden he makes this resurgence. So you never know, man. You never know. I was wondering, like, do you think we're actually going to run Justin Fields a lot this year? Like, do you think there will be a lot of like quarterback design and stuff like that?
So I think they'll run him, but maybe not as much as, what was it, his second year in Chicago. I think he had over 1,000 rushing yards. I forget if it was 22 or 2023. Those years kind of blend together for me. I don't think it's going to be that high, especially because Glenn mentioned they kind of want to let him be a quarterback. I don't think they're going to now turn him into Jared Goff and just make him a pocket passer, but I don't know if we're going to see him running the ball 15 times a game, 7 to 10 times a game. I think that's probably a safer window of an expectation for him on a week-to-week basis.
Unless nobody pops besides Garrett, and then you do have to lean on the running, and that's almost the worst case scenario, because then next year it's like, did we win enough games to make it worth it running it back, doing it the same way, tailoring it through the ground of Fields? It's tough, man. You kind of, in a lost year, hypothetically, you want to see his arm and what the ceiling is there, not just rest your laurels on his floor, the running, grind it out, get 8 or 9 wins. If Garrett pops, maybe 9 wins. If Brees does too, 10 wins. If the defense does, you know what I mean? Like, because then, like, what's your ultimate ceiling? Then you're drafting a quarterback that's not even going to be able to come in and do that same thing. So maybe it is just better to take a beat, bro. Prove it. Are you a quarterback or a running back, or a weapon, or can you be Timu, Jalen Hurts? Because that would work.
Dude, I would be lit if we figured out how to do the tush push with
They
Fields.
They should
Like,
run
I
it.
would be lit, and like I've said that it's annoying in the past, tush push and stuff like that. But when your team's the one doing it, kind of turn a blind eye to that stuff.
Right. If it works, do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, stop the show. Murph, if you have anything to, yep. I don't know if they won tonight, but 16-4 their last 20 games. Finally got Soto popping off. I mean, honestly, you could probably make a case for 3 MVP candidates on this team right now. Talk to me about the Mets, man. How long have you been a fan? How excited are you the last year or two? Because I'm a recent fan. I was away from baseball. I loved turn of the century baseball. McGuire, Sosa, Smoltz, Glavin, Chipper, but then I stepped away. And then literally a year and a half ago, Mets caught my eye, and I've been loving them ever since. So I don't claim to be a super fan. I know where I'm at. You, though, sir, talk to me. Are you a super fan? Where did that all start, and where are you at now? Real quick, sorry. I don't mean to make
No,
it a
you're
20-minute.
So baseball was my first love. Like I played baseball growing up. I wasn't a good football player, but I like baseball is my sport growing up. So I always have a special attachment to that. But as I started, when I was in college and, working and doing things in content and sports media, I never ended up getting a job doing something covering the Mets. It was always either the Jets or Islanders, who are my other two teams. So I feel like in recent years, the Jets and Islanders have gotten more of my attention, but that doesn't mean I'm any less of a Mets fan. From a young age, my dad was taking me games at Shea Stadium, and I'm really happy now watching this team because for so many years they had an ownership that didn't want to spend money, didn't want to do anything, and it feels like they have an owner who wants to spend. Obviously, yeah. Unfortunately, you're pointing to your Pittsburgh Pirates hat, talking about bad owners. I can relate. It's really bad right now for Pittsburgh right now, but having Steve Cohen wanting to spend, I have a lot of faith in David Stearns making the decisions on who to bring in. It's just been fun. I've been enjoying the ride. Last year they were really bad at this time of year and go on that unbelievable run in the second half of the year. And now, one of the best teams in baseball. I'm just trying to enjoy the ride.
Do you think they need to make a deal at the deadline to really go for it all? And if so, if you can only get one, do you go batter or pitcher? As my dog is squeaking its toy.
I love that. I might go not the sexiest thing, but I think they could use a lefty reliever. They lost they signed Minter in the offseason to be their lefty specialist, and he got hurt. So they're kind of operating without that. So for me, I think that's where I'd go. I like the lineup. I think when they're all clicking, it's a deep enough lineup to be competitive. The starting pitching's been really good this year. I
It's
just want
beautiful.
I just want to shore up the back end of that bullpen, get another arm to go with, Reed Garrett and Edwin Diaz, and I think you're in a good spot.
I'm sure if
Who-
you called the Pirates, they could trade a bag of chips for Paul Skeens right now. So have at it.
I would love that too. He is a special talent, Paul Skeens.
Going to be
He
wasted.
is there any, it's like Nick Chubb and how everybody felt for him all of his journey. Everybody right now is collectively feeling for Paul Skeens. If you do make that trade though, I do got to ask who's gone? Is it Mauricio? Is it Acuna? Who's your first on the list?
Yeah, I think it'd be one of like Beatty, Mauricio, or Acuna if you're trying to find someone. Now, Beatty's been better. Like since coming back, I feel like he's been better than what he was earlier in the year and in previous years. But you got to give to get. I like Mauricio, so I'd want to keep him over Acuna, I think. But they're kind of in a spot where they have some young guys where, whether it was other trades that they made a few years ago with Verlander and the Scherzer trade, you have some prospects in the pool that you could, potentially move off of. And, for a reliever, you usually don't have to give up a ton, but if they're making a big splash like Skeens, then you're emptying the farm system there. But I don't think they're going to do a major move. I think it's kind of just tinkering around the edges of this roster.
I like it because honestly, if they can gel and just keep taking baby steps, get Edwin Diaz back, or I'm sorry, Senga, that's a little scary there. They might not have to make a major move, but we'll see. And a lot of these guys are okay. Are you extending Alonso? Last question.
Yeah, I think you do it. He's had a monster year this year. I think he's earned it. I love him hitting behind Soto because Soto's such a good on base guy. Like Lindor gets on, Soto get on, and then now you have Pete coming up with the guys on base, and that's how he's, driving in runs and hitting home runs. So I think he's earned it. He's had a major bounce back year. I'd definitely look to extend Pete Alonso.
Perfect. Hey, dude, great conversation. Murph, you can hit it. Go
I
ahead.
got one more question. You had a last question. Now I got a question. It's not even about baseball, because God forbid I want to talk about that. Matt, I know you're a big Blackstone guy. I just got one like 3 months ago.
Oh, hell
Blackstone Grill. Okay. You got any? And by the way, I didn't realize how high maintenance they were when I got it. Like having to keep them cleaned up and re-seasoned and season them 5 freaking times and whatever. I still love it. Any tips or tricks or anything I should try on it?
So I'm lucky. My fiance Taylor is really good with the maintenance on it. She's always out there, scrubbing it after we cook on it. My favorite thing to do on the Blackstone, honestly, is like breakfast meals, like eggs and bacon off the Blackstone. I don't know why, it just tastes so much better to me. That's my favorite thing. When the Jets played in London this past year, the early morning game, I was out there. I was doing eggs and bacon and all kinds of stuff on there. The breakfast on the Blackstone, I don't know, it hits different. This year, Taylor's wanting to try doing like those the pizza on the Blackstone. So that might be the new thing that I try this year.
Yeah, I've heard about that. I haven't tried it myself. My first thing I ever cooked on it was steak and eggs. So yeah,
Oh,
you are
beautiful.
right. Having that big griddle where you can just do it all right there. Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. But yeah, I did want to get a little Blackstone talk in with you. We got to get those videos back where the new drink, the new mixed drink that Mr. O'Leary's having with his Blackstone meal. We need to get those going back, rolling again. Even
You know
Love
what? There's a lot of people in the chat probably are like, what the, how do you even know this about Matt? I don't see it on YouTube. Go down to the description, follow Matt on Twitter. You will have access to his Blackstone tips and tricks and mixed drinks every holiday. Talk to us
Usually,
real quick. Yeah, where did you find a love for that? Like any cool things coming up maybe there?
yeah. So usually every year, so it's actually coming up on the 4th of July every year. We always do a big party, and I always end up being the bartender. I'm making everyone's drinks. Um, a fan favorite is Deep Eddies, which is lemonade vodka mixed with Arnold Palmer, like the half and half iced tea. That's a favorite one that I make. I'm a whiskey guy, so like I'll make old fashions, I'll make Manhattans and stuff like that too. But for the 4th of July party, I always try to come up with a signature drink. So I gotta cook up a good one, and we're almost due for another Matt O'Leary mixologist video to hit the old Twitter right now.
I love it, Matt. Dude, we took up a ton of your time. I appreciate you coming. Murph appreciates it. Talk to us though, because lately you've been dropping 2 videos a day. Tell me you're going to take a break, but before that break, do you have anything coming up we should be looking for, or what's your next month look like, and where can people find you?
Yeah, so at Matt O'Leary NY on YouTube and all social media. Now is probably the quietest time of year. So I might scale back the videos a little bit over the next month or so. But when training camp rolls around, I'm doing recaps every day after training camp, either if I'm there in attendance or just reacting to what the beat reporters are putting out there and taking quotes from press conferences. That's some of my favorite videos to make, just kind of getting everybody hyped up for the season. So keep an eye out for those, but it might be a little quieter over the next couple weeks.
Dude, when people start like channels and stuff, some people are great at live streams, some people are good at videos, some people are good at shorts. I just got to commend you, man, because we talked the other day and like your shorts are becoming top-notch quality. I want to applaud them publicly. And even your videos, like your overlay game has stepped up. You got transitions, you got press conferences coming in with clips like perfectly sequenced. You're not a big live streamer, but not everyone has to be. I just like, again, I want to commend you on your editing because that's the most exhausting part of this whole thing. And you seem to have mastered it. So kudos to you, brother.
I
He's the
appreciate
nerd
that.
of the bunch. He's the nerd of the bunch, so he notices all the little things and stuff like that. And he's like, "Dude,
I'm
did
the
you
same
see
way.
what Matt O'Leary's doing with his overlays now?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't. I didn't notice that because I was just listening to the actual content."
I think the
Well,
same way, Dane. I always pick up on that little stuff. I taught myself how to edit. I watched just a bunch of YouTube tutorials on Adobe Premiere. You know, I started in radio, so I was pretty good with like Adobe Audition. So I wanted to learn the video, so I use Adobe for pretty much everything. But I taught myself Photoshop, how to make, you know, images and stuff like that, and Premiere for editing. But yeah, I prefer the shorter form videos, and every once in a while I'll do a live stream, but I think there's a niche for everybody, right? Like I like to do, you know, 5 to 10 minute videos, get them in, get them out. If someone just has, you know, I could spare 5 minutes to watch a video, but they might not have a full hour to tune into a whole show. So I'm trying to fill that role. And uh, dude, I just on the shorts, I don't like the AI stuff, the generated shorts. Sometimes you could tell they're so obvious. So I do it all manually, but I put a lot of work into it, so I appreciate you calling that out. The behind the scenes stuff that people don't see. They think it's just get in front of the camera and the microphone and do a 5 minute video. There's a lot more behind the scenes that happens after that.
And it's not just chopping this box and making it into a 60-second video. Like that's um but yeah, like again, people notice, man. I'm one that notices. I also get the content. Murph gets the content as well. But dude, keep killing it, man. Hopefully we can have you back at some point. And again, thanks for coming tonight. Good conversation all around.
Absolutely, guys. I'd be happy to come back on. Have a good rest of your night tonight, boys.
Yep. See you, buddy. So that stuff
Awesome,
does get.
dude.
I know I was busting your balls, but like I see these things too. Like I'll text you even during a show sometimes. I'm like, hey, that fucking little airplane in the top right corner is pretty dope. Like, like that stuff does get noticed, and um, I appreciate you for always making this what it is. Because Dane, I tell everybody on here, I'm just the big idiot that drinks beer and talks BS on the show. Like Dane is the mastermind behind all of this.
Well, and sometimes I will say, man, some of that Matt interview, I was way too click happy trying to find the right setup, but I think eventually we settled in. But like, some people just come on here and they just do this, and there's no background. There's literally no ticker at the bottom, which, hey, whatever. You got Buffalo Jet fan, like he'll come on and it'll just be him on the whole screen, no background, no overlays, no nothing, and it works for them. For me, though, I do think that some of this stuff pops. It's going to evolve over time. It already has, man. If you go back and look at some of the shit I did a year ago, this channel's come a long way. This is season 2, dude. If you've been watching all along, thanks for tuning in. Spike that like. We have a caller on the line, Murph. Do you need to step away, or do you have? It's
No,
up to
it's
you, brother.
summertime, so he goes to bed late now. It's cool.
Hey, let's go then, man. Let's get this guy out here. He's been wanting. I don't think I've talked to him in a couple weeks, so we'll see. Let's see what we got here. Without further ado, the one, the only polarizing individual. We all love him, Charles Gorman. Welcome to the Danger Zone.
Hey man, I just want to let you know the Mets are down 7-5, but they have 2 on and 1 out in the bottom of the 9th inning. Yankees lost 2-1 to the Red Sox today in 10 innings. Judge hit his 26th homer of the year.
Dude, he is literally hitting a home run every day.
Well, he eats his Wheaties. What can I tell you?
What's your favorite team, Charles?
I've been a Yankee fan since I was 4 years old. I've been following them more as I got older. My favorite player was Jeter. I loved Torre and Girardi as the manager. As the managers, I should say. The first time I ever watched the Mets was when Willie Randolph was the manager. And, at the time, the Mets were somewhat of a good team at that point, especially in 06, where they lost to the Cardinals, who ended up winning the World Series that year. But I'm a huge freaking fan. What the hell happened? He must have hit into a freaking double play or some shit.
Did he?
Now you got me going to want to pull up the game up just to see.
2 on, 1 out. You got a chance still, bottom of the ninth. Let
He
me.
ran into a force out. Sonny Marte's out at second, Bailey to first, Jeff McNeil to third. Here comes Mauricio, 2 strikes and a walk for him.
I love Mauricio, but he's been cold the last couple games. Yeti, he said, did he? Yeah, that's what I said. Did he really ground out? Did he really double play? Braden, I just want to take a minute to thank you for tuning in for Matt O'Leary. Appreciate you. We will see you next week.
He's getting married in November, right?
What's that?
He's getting married in November, right, Matt O'Leary?
I believe so.
Man. God bless him. Baseball was the first professional sport that I fell in love with, too. I was actually hoping you would put me on with him before he left, but hey, it is what it is. I want to tell him that I love baseball, too. Been a baseball fan since I was a kid. I played Little League Baseball. Never was that good, but I busted my tail off. It was fun. So, obviously, you guys talked about which players you expect to break out, which players you expect to struggle this year or something like that. I really expect Brees Hall to really break out in this offense. I mean, I know a lot of people love Brees Hall. Jet fans as a whole love Brees Hall. He's a very good player. He's a very dynamic player when he's healthy. I think one of the biggest reasons why he struggled so much last year wasn't because of him necessarily. It was because of the scheme. The scheme wasn't very good. The scheme was awful. And, hopefully, I do think Brees Hall will bounce back this year. I believe in him. I believe in his work ethic. Would I like to see him be a Jet the rest of his career? Yes, but there's a chance he might be the odd man out. And Mauricio just got struck out looking.
Ball game, right?
7-5 Rays. Should the Yankees and the Mets lose tonight? That's a bummer.
It is, but they can both afford one. It's no biggie.
Mets have been playing great, though, lately.
You said Jeter. Who is your favorite current player, not named Aaron Judge?
I did like DJ LeMay, but he's starting to come back. He's starting to come back very nicely. I do like Stanton. I think he's a very good player. He needs to stay healthy more often, but he's good. I like Garrett Cole. I like Luke Weaver. If there was one Yankee I've been very impressed with this year, it's Paul Goldschmidt. The guy that won the 2022 MVP with the Cardinals. He's been very good as a Yankee so far this year.
Charles, I'm not going to lie. Well, first off, I want to congratulate you because, like I said, I haven't been plugged in very much, but I do know that you got a apartment on your own, and I want to congratulate you.
I had some help with the Woodbridge Housing Authority and stuff like that, but I'm living on my own. I know Nick Sean gave me a lot of shit because I brought mostly junk, but hey, it is what it is. I brought him mostly celebratory shit. So I plan on getting healthier stuff. My mom gave me some chocolate chip waffles to have as a treat. Eggo's chocolate chip waffles, that is.
I will say it's very unnerving to see you and not see that glory, like that literally heirloom wardrobe behind you, man. Is there any way you can get that into this apartment?
If there's any way I can get into this apartment?
Yeah, is there any way you can transport that wardrobe into the new place, or is it staying at your mom's because that is just a awesome artifact?
Oh, you mean the behind me? Yeah, that's
Yes,
across. My
yes.
mom gave that. My mom gave that to me. So
No. Your wardrobe, your closet
my clothes.
thingy that was
Oh, my clothes. Oh, I'm sorry. These
no
are just my.
in your bedroom at your old home. You had this awesome wardrobe that was behind you in every single video you've
Oh,
ever done.
oh, you mean my armoire? I see what you're saying. I'm sorry, my head's up my ass. Yeah, it's staying home, unfortunately. I did bring a lot of clothes. Armoire staying there, yeah. My armoire, I've had that for quite some time. It's very nice armoire. Cost my family a pretty penny, but it's a good armoire. Got a lot of clothes in it. Got a lot of sweaters, pants, all that stuff. It's good, man. It's good. Um, as for thank you, Hazel. Hazel. I think that's his name, or her name, or their name, however they identify by themselves nowadays.
Hazel.
Hazel. Wow, I suck. Sorry, Hazel. I'm doing. I mean, I've been here for about couple of weeks now. Everything's going good for me. Things have been going good for me. Hey, Boomtown.
Awesome.
So yeah, I also just came back from Costco. I got some milk. So I got some more milk. I'm just really happy I'm living on my own. One of these days the baby's got to fly out of the nest eventually, right? So you can't stay home with mom and dad forever. That's the
Exactly.
damn
And hey,
deal.
maybe you'll meet a
Um,
cougar on the block, a
oh,
sugar baby.
I knew you were going to say that shit. I knew you were going to say that shit. Uh, that's one of my fantasies, but no, I would like. I prefer a woman around my age or a little bit younger. My last girlfriend was a few years younger than me, so. But yeah, man. I mean, I'm enjoying myself. Just living the good life. I actually, after I came back from one of my program that I attend to every Friday, I went to my local Trax car wash in Oak Tree Road in Edison, and I either said they were, according to Nick Shine, they're not hiring, but I did give them my information in case when they were hiring, I'll be one of the first ones they call. I definitely need a job, man. I can't just sit here and do nothing. I got to work my ass off.
Hey,
Have
good
you
luck. Hey,
have
good luck with that. I know that it can be nerve-wracking looking for a job from time to time, and then it's like whenever you finally land a job, you'll have like 10 other places call you about applications that you had in. That's how it always goes. But you'll get there, man. And like Hazel said, congrats on the place, dude. That's always it's such an exciting move. Like the first place on your own and stuff. Does it feel good? Like, does it like or are you a little like, wow?
Good. It somewhat reminds me when I was in college, although I had a roommate. I was on my own, although I'm doing a much better job staying in contact with my parents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could say I'm living the American dream somewhat. Um, my version of the American dream is getting a job and having a family. Oh, stop. You don't have
yeah,
to buy me lunch.
dude, the chat is loving you. They according to Clancy, you also have an affinity for cougars. Can you talk to us about that, Charles?
Yeah, they have nice. Oh wait, you mean women? I'm thinking of the cats, the feral cats. Yes, Serge, I've met
I
some
mean, are
attractive
you?
looking women, but the thing is, I think cougars would want a man with a job.
But you'll be there.
DKB, thanks for joining us, brother.
And as much I would look, I would see a lot of heterosexual man's fantasies to date a cougar, like John Cougar Mellencamp back in the day. I'm sure you. Oh, please tell me you've heard of John Cougar Mellencamp, bud. Okay, thank God.
Yeah. I
It's
think
a little
I
bitty
think
like Diane, buddy.
he recently called out Pat McAfee. I remember there was a little beef there going on. I don't know
Oh
if you know
yeah,
about
he's
that.
got beef with a
Yeah.
lot of people, but he is a legend. I remember listening to a lot of his hits when on the radio growing up as a kid. He's a legend, that's for damn sure. Um, but it feels good, I'm washing dishes. I'm making sure that there are no freaking bugs or bed bugs in my place. Because Lord knows that would be some scary shit if I had some bugs in my room, like some cockroaches and shit. Like that's not cool. I was able
Bro,
to bring a few of my video
listen.
games.
Bugs are nasty, man. You got to be careful. I got
That's very
stories when it comes to bugs that I'll get into on future live streams. So hit that subscribe, hit that like, spike that like, because you'll hear
don't
some
just
of my
spike it,
bug
slam
stories,
that shit,
man.
slam it
Yes,
and slam
well,
it good.
around here we spike it. But yeah, stay tuned because ask me one day, Murph, about my bug story. Anyways, Charles, any are you
Yes,
here
sir.
in this new place indefinitely, or is it a month to month
It's
thing?
gonna be here
I'm
for a
hoping.
while. I wouldn't say indefinitely, but I definitely like it here. My neighbors are very nice. The ones that I was able to interact with anyway. Charles Cougar Gorman Camp.
You
Um,
know, a
I
really
like it
really
here. A
good
lot of the
comment
names that I
here
talk
from
with
you.
are very nice. I live in a
Can you
very
read this,
populated
Charles?
Indian area. Huh?
Can you read this one?
You got time, but I got married at 40 and Bishop at 42. All good. I think my parents got married in their late 30s and had me and my brother in their early 40s. But yeah, thank you, Yeti. I appreciate that, buddy. Um, look, man, it feels good, you know. I love my family. I love my mother, even though she drives me crazy. Laugh out loud. I love my mother. She's one of my biggest supporters. Um, love my brother. Love my father. He's a guy I would consider a best friend type of person. He loves the sports. He loves his Yankees, his Jets, his Knicks. Been a Knicks fan since the Red Holtzman era. Loves golf. He loves to watch golf, my father. I know a lot of people don't like golf, but my father's been a fan of golf since Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer. May his soul rest in peace, Arnold Palmer.
Yeah.
Um, my grandmother's doing good too. She's 99 years old, living in a nursing home now. So
Wow.
she's the only living
But,
grandparent I have left. My father's mother.
yep. Can you
But
imagine being a century old?
I want to tease. That's what I said to her. I said, Grandma, when you turn 100, we're going to find you a nice 21-year-old.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. She can be
Yeah.
that 21-year-old.
But as for any Jets takes, I mean, I want Michael Clemens off the team. I don't think that should be a surprise for anybody. I'm liking what I'm hearing about the coaches and players getting along and stuff like that. Buying into the culture of Aaron Glenn, I like that. The number one coach to me is the one I'm going to be watching out the most is Tanner Angstrom, and I'll tell you why. One, he's an unknown. We don't know how good he has as an offensive mind. I know he learned a lot from Ben Johnson, who was obviously the head coach of the Detroit Lions, right? I mean, the head coach of the Chicago Bears, my apologies. And he's a head coach a lot of Jet fans wanted, but we end up with Aaron Glenn. Could be a right hire for both teams. My thing is, how's he going to utilize Justin Fields' skill set? Because Justin Fields is a very dynamic player. He's got a talented arm, but he hasn't done a consistently good job in passing the football. Because Arthur Smith, who's the offensive coordinator of Pittsburgh, did do a good job at scheming things up for him. So even though Justin Fields played relatively well for the Steelers last year before they moved on to Russell Wilson. So all I'm going to say is that my breakout player on offense is Brees Hall, and my key breakout player on defense is Jermaine Johnson. Where's
You think
Dayne-O?
he'll be better than he was the year before the injury?
I think he'll be very good. I think he'll get at least 8 or maybe 9 sacks, maybe a few forced fumbles. But I also will give an honorable mention to Will McDonald. I really like what I'm seeing from him. He's an athletic freak. I was very happy. I can honestly, and I'm going to, this may not surprise some people if I say this, but I think what inspired his breakout season was the injury to Jermaine Johnson. That to me is what inspired his breakout season.
Yeah, we needed him to break out because we had nobody else.
Yeah, that's very true.
At
All
least
right,
it
guys,
is.
it was a pleasure talking with you. Daniel, enjoy your Father's Day.
Thank you, sir.
Dan, it's
Charles,
fun talking.
enjoy your Father's Day as well. I'm sure you'll be a father soon. Just check out, dude, pace that block instead of the apartment, and I'm sure you will meet the right person. Anyways, dude, always good talking ball with you because you do know your shit, and I appreciate that,
I
man.
learned that from my father. You can thank Mr. Gorman for that when you meet him and if you get the chance.
Facts. I'd love to one day because it sounds like he knows late 90s ball and turn of the century ball, and that was my favorite. All sports,
My
turn of the
father has been a
century by
baseball
far.
fan since he was very young. His favorite Yankee was Thurman Munson.
Do you remember Omar Vizquel?
No, I don't.
That was, oh, dude, I love some of them guys, man. Just a random name popped in my head. But anyways,
The
have a good
best
night,
everyday
Charles.
player I saw, though, before you let me go, the best everyday player I saw growing up was Albert Pujols. He was mad good, man. He was
He
mad
was.
good.
No, he
Hopefully, he
was.
gets in the
You're
Hall
right.
of Fame in the first ballot. If not, we got problems. Peace out, guys.
Later, Charles.
Night, buddy.
All right, dude. You're so huge.
Always electric.
Oh, there we go.
Charles.
Dude, you got to stay on your toes with him, right?
For sure.
Murph,
For sure.
you got a few minutes. Yeah. Oh, thank you, dude. Indians, right? I love the Indians for a short stint, and Vizquel was my favorite. But those were the days, man. And then, like I said, I shied away from ball. Like I said with Matt, but like 97 to 04 baseball was a fun ride. Chipper Jones, Cal Ripken Jr. was one of my favorites. Jim Thome, Albert Bell, just the list goes on, man. Just great ball play. Speaking of Jim Thome, this guy reminds me of Jim Thome so much. Call me crazy, but first base, kind of the same build. Talk to me, chat. Does anybody see that comp? Murph, where's your
As far as
baseball fandom at?
I'm a casual. Like Ken Griffey Jr. Was that guy. I loved Ken Griffey Jr. and I'm a lefty. So, but yeah, this cleanest swing of all time. Like that was the guy. Never was a Yankees guy at all. I just the thing I have like one of the big problems I have with baseball is like how the salary works for baseball teams. I feel like you can really pay to win a championship in baseball where you have cap limitations and other sports. So I don't know. That's something that really bothers me about baseball and the Yankees in particular. Because I think a couple of their championships was a lot of money.
We still got 20 here on YouTube. We literally 241 tuned in from Twitter tonight, and that's a record for us because I don't think this time it was bots. That does happen, by the way. Pretty soon when we're done, we do have someone in the green room going to join us. Awesome. After, though, I have a surprise I want to open here. Anyways, yeah, I did say you know why? Because it was like this for a short moment, and you were like perfectly in frame, and I'm like, oh my god. So yeah, hey, hope you like that snowball. Yes, Johnny, the bullpen. Yeah, I didn't get to see anything past the fifth inning, but we were good until I stopped watching. So I think it's my fault that we lost tonight. Anyways, without further ado, let's bring in our guest. Charles called. We had another regular. I think you guys know him. He's got a show of his own that's always popping with the wrestling takes. Let's get a hold in the danger zone of Nick T. What's up, brother?
The,
What's up, Murph?
the only other guy to know the name that you just dropped of the old
Seriously,
baseball.
that honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I probably wasn't. Well, I was about to dip off to sleep. I'm exhausted, and I was like, Omar Vizquel, shit, man. Like I don't. Sorry, I don't know about the cursing.
He just jerked awake and he was like, Omar Vizquel.
Dude, just a random name popped in my head though. I'm like, dude, I watched him all the time. Was he a catcher?
Shortstop.
I knew he was in the infield
So-
somewhere.
So I put
Sandy
it in the
Al-
chat because you
Sandy
got me
Alomar
knowing.
caught. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
He's like so Omar Vizquel to me, and I'm sure more baseball historians are gonna be like, yeah, F that take. But like to me, he's like Ozzie Smith was. So Ozzie Smith was phenomenal defensively as a shortstop, but like as baseball evolved, he wasn't that great of a hitter. And like Vizquel, that's what Vizquel, he was so good. Like he was okay as a hitter, but like as things evolved, like in today's Major League Baseball, I don't know where he'd fit. Like in like I'm sure he'd play because he's so good defensively, but like the way the league has evolved to that such an offensive league, I don't know that he's the type of player that would be around. Like maybe he'd get moved to like second base or something like that. But like it's such a weird, yeah, it's an interesting player because I think he hit leadoff too. But like that's when I think baseball was like, all right, yeah, you could hit 250 and be a leadoff hitter because all the other stats that now all the analytics dismiss.
Sandy Alomar was on that team, man.
Yeah.
Just
Roberto
in that
Alomar, right?
Roberto, maybe. One
I
of
think both
them.
Alomar brothers are on
But
that
that little window of time, you had the Indians popping, you had the Braves popping. Just it was a fun time to be a baseball fan. That's all I'm saying. It's getting that way again. I feel like baseball is more popular now than it was 10 years ago. But where's your take there?
So I felt this for years, and my brother, love my brother to death. Obviously, he's family. He is not a sports person, and he loves baseball because and he said this to me like 5 years ago. We were at a Mets game, and he's like, "I fucking love this sport because I can get hammered and follow it so easily." And it's like to him, and to the same extent, like baseball is unlike anything else. Where like I think, I mean, you have the environment, but like it's a whole experience going to a baseball game. You're like in like you go to parks like even like Miami, like those some of those parks are like whole like theme parks, not just like a baseball stadium. So like it's the day that you have there, you know? And like that's where I think they have a leg up on like even football, basketball, like some of these other sports where like live attendance, I think baseball really does a better job with the experience.
Yeah, dude, City Field has been like 40K in the house. It's insane. Go ahead, Murph.
No, I do agree that a lot of these, and I haven't been to a lot of baseball stadiums, but like baseball is a sport where they really like immerse the fans into it that go to the games and stuff like that. Like I've been to quite a few Pirates games and stuff, and they always make it fun. Like my kid doesn't really watch baseball, but he loves going to the games. They're like, because there's always things going on, music and different things going on and stuff. And you are right, that is a sport that you can go get hammered at and still, for the most part, keep up with it.
Well, I think
And
to some extent though, like baseball, there's so many like there's so many I don't want to say like use the term intermissions, but like there is a lot of downtime in between a lot of things. And I think because of the fact that it's indoctrinated in our society for 100+ years, that they've learned to adapt to that. And that's just like something that, eventually football, basketball, all the other sports will adapt, but like it's 100 years of history, and being able to people come out live. How do you adjust?
Do you think the pitch clock kind of reinvigorated the sport a bit, or where are you at with that change?
It's good. It's a TV change. Like it's everything else it's advertised. Like right, like speed up the game because it's that like semen. Like in wrestling, we use the term like it's not a wrestling, probably not a wrestling term. It's just a TV term. Like, but in the '90s, it was car crash TV. Like quick 30-second bits, not even like 15-second bits, and like that's the idea. And they're just adapting to the times.
That makes sense with the TikTok craze and this, swipe. We have goldfish memories. So speed it up. Matt said it. He's like, I make 8-minute videos because some people need those. They can't watch a 2-hour live stream. Uh, and that makes total sense, dude. The shorter, the better, the faster, the better, at least for ratings. Is it really better for us? Maybe not, but that's a whole nother stream. I didn't mean to go down a rabbit hole of baseball, though. Is there any football takes that maybe you disagree with, agree with, that you might have heard?
Honestly, this time of year, I've adapted a different approach the last like year and a half to things because like there's so much noise this time of year, and I'm trying to really omit a lot of that. So to me, like I've seen the highlights of everything, and there's a constant text thread that I've got. My buddy's a Steelers fan, so it's just obnoxious at this point in time about, and it's funny because it's the same trap, and me and my other buddy who's a Jet fan are on this thread, and it's like you're falling into the same trap that we fell into. Like I don't care. Oh, he looks great. Like, oh, compare him next to Big Ben in the pocket passer drill. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Yeah, it's gonna be the same thing. Who's there that he has any familiarity with? Absolutely nobody. And it's gonna take time. And I really am excited for week 1 because
This is still his fourth OC.
it,
It's going to take time, like you said. Go ahead about week 1 now.
you're coming into camp late. He has nobody he's thrown to, and it's funny because and I'll give you like a glimpse of the text message. He was like, "Oh, who did the Jets have?" And I said, "Are you kidding me? The Jets for basically the majority of the whole season had two arguably top 20 receivers statistically that he played with the whole year. And now you're going to take Aaron Rodgers and put him in Pittsburgh and give him DK Metcalf, I love DK Metcalf because I think to some extent he's a lesser version of what Calvin Johnson was, but he's not a great route runner. And he's nowhere near what Devontae Adams was. So he's the top receiver in Pittsburgh. And I know Pittsburgh, the one thing you could say about Pittsburgh is they're a much better run organization, better coached, absolutely. But if Rome Wilson or Robert Woods is your answer, and they're going to develop instant chemistry with Aaron Rodgers in the first 3-4 weeks, then touche. Then he was holding something back for the last year and a half that he had in New York, because I don't see that shit happening one bit.
The biggest knock on him for me was how long it took him to develop synchronicity. Like, unless it was Devontae, but Garrett, like they were. I don't know if fans have so short memories, but bro, some of the miscommunication with him and Garrett lasted far too long.
Yeah, it's easier to develop chemistry on defense than it is offensively, for sure. And I
see, maybe that bails us out. Maybe that buys us time. It keeps us at 500. The D. I don't think we're a 4-win team.
Oh, no.
There are people that do. I think this team, if everything just shits the bed, I still think they can get 6 wins. If half of what I think can go right goes right, I think it's like 8 wins. And if everything goes right, I think it's 10 wins. But the D has to be stellar to get to 10. Do you think that's a bad take?
I think they could do a lot even better than that. Honestly, this team's got a lot to prove.
Wow.
And the way the schedule shakes up, even week 1 is so funny to me, because like I don't think it's gonna happen, but like I would love nothing more. But like Fields just got the team that just dismissed you. Like, I mean, same thing for Rodgers, but I think Aaron Glenn's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder because of everything that was said or not said with everything too. So I really think there's a lot of games that are going to be won from this team that are close games. And at the end of the day, bottom line is we're a Northeast-based team. It's going to get cold once October 31st hits. Once Halloween hits, it gets cold. You have to run the ball. You're not throwing the ball 40 times a game. So having a quarterback that can run the ball 5-10 times a game for X amount of carries, X amount of yards, it doesn't matter. That's going to help. And I think that's going to be a real big element that we haven't had in years. And like, I know Wilson could run and showed signs and Darnold, but it's not to this level where they understand and will enact that in the playbook.
Well, the only thing I worry about is becoming too one dimensional and having 8 in a box, 9 in a box. Wide receiver 2, I think, hinges on how high our ceiling can go. Because then it's just, you can literally do 8 in a box, and just, if you have a Christian Gonzalez on Garrett
Mhm.
with 8 in a box, then what, that scares me. So that's why I cap it at 10. If I start seeing Arian Smith pop, Lazard, whoever, like, even if they take turns popping, then I do believe the ceiling could be higher, like you said. But literally, it might be a better take, or at least a more rational one, to think about higher than 10 next year. The second year of the same OC, in theory, the second year of Glenn, like, I want to see them with a second free agency period with our core locked up and some cash, less dead money, because we'll only really have Rodgers next year dead. And this year we have like 60 million dead. All I'm trying to say is, whether it's 6, 8, 10 wins this year, I think the following year it'll be 2 or 3 more than what it is this year. So, like, I do see it. I see it, man. And I try not to be irrational and just like putting too much into it. They haven't even played a game. They haven't even put pads on yet. But like, there are just silver linings I'm seeing that I'm loving. Am I crazy? Because like, you got Garrett Wilson, you got Brees Hall. If you use him right, those two can carry an offense. If you use Brees Hall right, they can. So then Fields as a threat, and Braylon Allen, who falls forward on every single run. Sky's the limit.
I think the way you were talking about how defenses can approach us this coming year, how you're talking putting 7 or 8 in the box and having a stud corner just shadow Garrett and stuff, like, that is a concern. I think that that's a legitimate concern, and that's why I'm bullish on, if I want a rookie this year to hit the ground running, I want it to be Mason Taylor, because I think that could make a difference in those scenarios. We need somebody aside from Garrett that we can rely on. I'm not saying he has to be a superstar himself, but just be somebody that we can rely on when things get thick and heavy like that.
That's the other thing too to think. I'm just like, you're talking about like blitzing and things like that. I don't know why, but this memory, and I'm sure this is a terrible memory for most of us Jets fans that'll come up, but like, would you argue Tim Tebow is less athletic than Justin Fields?
I would
Less.
agree that he is less athletic. Yes.
Murph?
I mean, yeah, I'd say Fields might be a little bit more athletic. He's got a better arm, probably.
And that's my
Tebow
point. It's
did
like,
have a cannon, he just couldn't throw it right. Like,
I don't know about that cannon.
he could
situation.
launch it. He could launch it. He just had a
He could launch a
20-second
gun.
wind up to do
Yeah,
so.
he could shot put something 20 yards field, but
Yeah.
what it is, I don't know what you'd call it. Maybe a pass. Some people might call it a pass. But the point I'm trying to get at is that, like, I just remember the one thing I remember is that game that Rex Ryan played against Denver, in Denver, right? And it was like 11 on 11 for like 30 minutes. It was the most, or 6 minutes. It was the most boring game that we'd watched. And I remember Francesa was even like, Revis is going to fall asleep covering Demaryius Thomas because he's not going to get thrown at the whole game. And we lost the game because literally it was an all out 8-man blitz, and we sent the house, and Tebow just made one cut and then ran. And that's how, to that point, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. Like Justin Fields, not that he can do like, but he could do that as well. And he also has the arm that if you're in single man coverage, okay, if some linebacker or whoever you send a safety contains me, I could throw the ball 6 yards. And he's proven that in camp already. I think I saw it. Like he had a 90-yard, something like he had like a 90-yard touchdown to somebody like recently in camp, like in one of the days.
I don't know. That might have been from a troll account to Arian
Oh.
Smith, but I wonder, is he like? I would need to know that he can thrive during broken plays to really get geeked on it, because like that's the thing. Like when they do over pursue, like we did with Tebow, and he can get outside of it, is he then going to be self-aware? Do I keep running? Do I try to hit Mason Taylor, like Murph said, in the middle of the field, or Kelsey, just find the hole in the zone? Is he going to find Garrett deep? His awareness and whatever the word I'm looking for during a broken play, I think, will be key.
Improv.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. That's where I got to see it to believe it, because like everything I've seen from him is either designed or just,
But
one read and throw.
Would you argue though that his scrambling ability is better than Tim Tebow's and his athletic ability, right?
If I was starting an offense tailored to a rushing quarterback today, taking Tebow from his day, like as he was then, I would rather have Fields.
And that's
I think that
point.
He's more of a threat if he's used properly. Like, do I have so much PTSD about my vision for the offense not matching? Like, last year it was so obvious how to use this team. Like, run the ball and use Rodgers to pass 15, 20, 25 passes a game. Then they go out there and he's throwing 45 balls, getting hammered in London for the rest of the season. Like, I do think Engstrand is smarter. I think he's going to be more on the fan. Like, it's just obvious how to use them. If he does, I think they can be deadly. I do. I just don't know how soon, because we play 3 playoff teams right off the bat. We could be 0-3. We could be 1-2, but like they're going to have to find their shit fast. All right. Done ranting. Anything you want to disagree about I just said?
No. Honestly, I think there's a lot to, in fact, I just think I really think that based off of like even like those little things like I said, like again the PTSD with Tebow, I think Fields has tremendous more athletic ability, and if it's a simplified offense which they're tailoring to his skill set, the team's gonna be a lot better offensively than a lot of people think. So I'm excited this year. I really think things are gonna go in the right direction. That this is an underrated team that everyone's showing up to camp, everyone's bought in, and how many years do we have new head coaches that we're successful and the team's expected to be garbage? Now, year 2 is what it is, but I legitimately, believe in Aaron Glenn, and I think this team's going to take a huge step forward.
What I will say is like Glenn commended Saleh and Douglas for like the high character guys that they brought in. It might be like a Rex Ryan after Mangini. Mangini got the guys. Rex came in. It was a different flavor, kind of the same, but he sprinkled in his stuff. I could definitely see that playing out again. Nick, I know you were ready for bed. I appreciate you joining us, man.
Pleasure.
Any final thoughts? Yeah.
No, man. No, I'm looking forward to it. Just take it with a grain of salt. We still got 2 months, basically over 2 months till the season starts. A lot's going to happen. So don't get too high or too low. Just stay even keel and we'll all be there in the end.
Yeah, dude, too many people out there screaming tank. But if you can win 10 games, if everything goes as planned, you do that. Give yourself a chance. I don't scream tank till like Halloween, and I still don't. But like, I don't even
consider it. If you don't pick the right players. I mean,
True.
we were talking the other day about the NBA and oh my gosh, Sam Bowie, Michael Jordan, Sam Bowie. Who was the team? Oh my God, Portland Trailblazers. Every year, Sam Bowie, and then they drafted Greg Oden over Kevin Durant. I mean, you could have the top pick and you could still miss how many times. So it doesn't matter where you pick. You got to pick the right players and develop the right players. So, it's all about coaching at the end of the day. So, fellas, pleasure as always. Happy Friday. We'll see you soon.
Happy Father's Day. See you later, brother.
Yep.
All good talk coming from him, man. Dude, we threw baseball at him. We threw football at him. He had takes for both. Awesome stuff. I don't know, man. Like, I spoke about it. I ranted about it, but I was probably all over the place when I was. But, like, I think a lot of it hinges on OC. And how are they blocking with the O-line? Because, like, we all look at the talent of the O-line and we assume. We don't know what their block scheme is. We don't know how they'll respond to it. Will they still be maximum capabilities in that scheme? A lot of unknowns. But if you're still with us, spike that like button. Any thoughts, Murph, before I segue into something else? We just spoke with Charles Gorman and Nick T back to back. We haven't really got to recap what we did with Matt. Anything you can buy me a minute just talking?
Yeah. So the thing I'll say about our OC, like you're saying, you're spitting facts. The OC is what it really boils down to. Like when you have a guy that's innovative and he gets it, like he understands the flow of the game and what to call when, it makes a huge difference. And we don't know what we have in Tanner Angstrom, but for what it's worth, he at least has the look of an OC, the sound of an O, like one of these young up and coming, uh, you know, flat brimmed hat backwards, calling the plays on the sidelines type. Like, look, you know what I mean? Like those like Kyle Shanahan's and McVays and like the younger guys of this day. Like he has that feel to him. So I'll get for what it's worth. I'll give him that at least. Yeah, the but he at least has that feel to him. So maybe I mean maybe that just is a precursor to what he actually is, and hopefully he's a stud, man. Because I'm so sick of having bad offenses.
Dude, it's so frustrating, and I said PTSD a million times, but like it would not even take a stud with this personnel to create a 500 offense. And if you have a defense that's .700 offense and a 500 offense, guess what? You're a wild card team. In our window, with the core being semi cheap, it's kind of now. People want to tank and draft a quarterback. Yeah, if you hit on a quarterback, that's like 50 million a year saved. But guess what? Now Sauce is making 30. Garrett's making 30. Jermaine's making 20. AVT is making 15, 20. Brees is franchise tag for 13. That franchise quarterback, you washed it with paying the core by tanking and waiting another year. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, you have to use this year because so many of our guys aren't extended yet. Now, maybe you extend Sauce and Garrett this offseason, but you still got Brees cheap, Jermaine cheap, Will McDonald cheap. Like, you have to strike.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully every year from here on out, we always have this young core that we're talking about. Like, hey, these guys are on their rookie deals. These guys, you know, what I mean, hopefully that just keeps it up. And it's not always Sauce and GW and Brees. You know, maybe the next group of people come in and we have this like core, and then like a year or two later, they'll look at this core that we have, and it just keeps
Fashanu and Membu.
exactly. I'm hoping that that's how it rolls, and we always have this thing like, hey, we're paying these studs cheap. Let's strike. every year. Like I just want it to be every year. Let's strike, you know. So, but I don't know, man. The offense, they got to get it under control. Hopefully Engstrom knows his shit. Hopefully he knows how to work with what we have because we do have some pieces. Obviously, after Garrett, our wide receiver room's a little you know, but we have a good running back room. We have what looks to be a very solid offensive line. You know, you just drafted a tight end in the second round, or you know, early in the second round. There's some pieces to work with, so figure it out, man. Figure out how to work with these pieces. You know, I'm if we go 8-9, but we're scoring 33 plus a game, I'm happy, dude. Like, obviously, it's frustrating watching a bad defense. Like, I understand those teams that like the Bengals and stuff. It's like they put up 40 points and still lose the game and stuff. Like, I get that. That's definitely frustrating, but it's also very exciting to see your team score 40 points in a game, and that's not something that we're used to seeing.
Dude, not only that, like Aaron Glenn is touted as a great secondary coach, but they got Dre Bly, man. They got Steve Wilkes. Like, I don't know. Like, everyone wants to talk about Justin. You know what? Justin Fields, Justin Fields, Justin Fields, 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 Fields. All right, that's our allotment on Justin Fields for the night. Thank you. Sorry if you want more quarterback talk, but the defense with Wilkes, Dre Bly, Aaron Glenn, if it can come together, and Brandon Stevens is a wild card there. If it can come together, it can carry us in a lot of games. Bro, if Jermaine, and these are a lot of ifs, but if Jermaine is even 85% of what he was before he got injured, and Will McDonald takes a 10% leap, and Quinnen Williams does his thing, that D-line is way better than last year. Jermaine at 85%, Will McDonald taking a 10% sliver leap. They're way better than last year. Secondary, I believe, will be better. I think I call me crazy. I think that defense can hold teams under 20 sometimes, often, maybe even. I'm not tanking. If you go on Twitter, there's probably like 8% of the fan base that are dead on tank. Yes, please. They just want the quarterback. And again, Jake talks about it. We got contract problems, bro. You waste it. You burn a year because you want to save $50 million on a quarterback. Hey, that you better fucking hit. There's not one obvious quarterback next year. There's like 6, and you have to choose the right one. You better hit, because our youth is about to cost us like a third of the entire cap, and none of them have hit their absolute ceilings at this moment. So interesting. Anything you want to chime in, Murph? The chat is still popping. I'm kind of shocked. There's still 15 on YouTube. Still people tuning in on Twitter. So, okay, I'm rambling. Let me ask you a question. You know how, have you ever gotten like a nice card, maybe like an autographed baseball card, maybe a sick football card that's like you think could be worth money? And you know how some people sent them away to be graded?
Mm-hmm.
I did that. I've never done it in my life, but like I did get a nice card, Sauce Gardner rookie card. And like it's like number 7 out of 10. Like there's only 10 of them. It's autographed, Sauce Gardner. I sent it away. PSA. They grade the cards. It wasn't a 10. Like there was a little stuff on the edges that I like, because dude, meticulous when they grade it. So I'm not expecting a 10, but I thought it'd be cool to open it on air, because I don't know what I got it graded as, and I don't think I've ever shown the card on air either. So if you have two, yeah, bro. Long story short, like I wanted one. I wanted a rookie sauce card. Found one. It was only one of 10. Shows your package, Dane. It was like $100, man. $80 card, $100. I can't remember. So needless to say, it was worth getting graded, because that was the other thing. I'm not just gonna, dude. I sent this away like 6 weeks ago. Finally got it back. Let's see. I want to, like I said, unbox it right now and see what the hell it looks like. I don't know if it's going to be right on the freaking open thing, or if, and I blacked out my name. So if you want to pause and be a creep, too bad. All right, cool. Got a box here. Can you say hi to the chat for a moment while I get a knife
Box
here?
inside of a bag. Yeah. So, Hazel brings up a good point here. What's the point in tanking to draft a quarterback when we suck at drafting quarterbacks anyway? Well, you can always argue that maybe the new regime knows more when it comes to drafting quarterbacks than the old regime. But we've tried to convince ourselves of that for I don't know how many regimes now. So who knows? But yeah, I don't see the point in tanking ever. Like I would rather, even if we suck, at least be gritty about it and win a few games, and like give the fans something to watch for. And not every Hall of Fame quarterback was drafted in the top 8 of the first round. So I don't know, man. Just give us something to watch, and then figure out the quarterback stuff with what you have. If you got to trade up, trade up. I don't care, but I don't know. There's no point in tanking, in my opinion. Tyson says your grading sounds like a scam, dude. What if you get like a sorry about your luck in there? We took your card. What is this? What is this?
All right.
Ooh, fancy.
All right, let's see. Yeah, bro, I got to do something here. You know what? I'm going to. There. All right. Oh, cool. It says PSA. So that's the real deal.
Here's your public service announcement that your card is worth.
You know, if I had to grade this, I would say it was at least a 7 out of 10. It was probably like, I'm hoping for an 8 or 9. That's what I would say. Like, if you're meticulous, the corners weren't perfect, so yeah, we'll see. Oh, there it is. My first look at it. Ready for this? You guys are gonna see it with me. I have not seen this yet. Let me get this off screen. This Tyson. Can you remove that Tyson comment, Daniel? Y'all ready for this?
Let's see it.
Can you get that comment down?
Look, I did take it down.
Did you? I guess I'm doing two comment. All right, you ready?
Yeah,
Boop.
ready when you are, buddy. What do we got? Look at that.
All right.
Wow. Let's see what we got.
Okay, it looks like we got a near mint 8 on the card, and we got the autograph graded as a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 Sauce Gardner autograph. The card itself is a near mint to mint 8 out of 10. Pretty cool. 2022 playbook Sauce Gardner signature green edition, and you'll see the greens, only 10 of them made, December 7. So yeah, I sent this away to grade it. I'll probably never do it again. Took way too long, but hey, at least we got something to look at.
Hell yeah. That's pretty cool. I wonder what it's worth, or what it will be worth, more importantly. You'll never sell it though. No, no true Jets fan would sell something like that unless they're, you know, going to lose their house or something and they need the money.
If I spent like 100 on it 2 years ago, and then now I got graded as an near mint 8, you would think it did improve the value a little bit, but I'd rather just save it, like you said. It's a story, you know. Hey, I sent it away. I rolled the dice. Is it a 10? I knew it wasn't a 10, but I'll take an 8. But yeah, content, right? Dual camera was kind of cool, but I think it made my face the laggy one. I will say my hands are huge, but they're bony as hell, like damn skeleton, man. But I
Dane
can
with the
palm a
skeleton.
basketball. Tyson says he has a Curtis Martin jersey card. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. That's my guy, Curtis Martin. That's my favorite player of all time, man. So that's awesome. I gotta get something Curtis Martin, something signed or something one day. For real.
If you're still hanging with us, we are running out of steam, so throw us a good question or two to spark us. Again, I came into this not feeling 100%, but bro, Matt brought it, you brought it, Murph, and then Charles brought it, Nick T brought it. When someone calls in, I don't want it to be like 45 seconds. I don't want it to be 3 minutes even. I want to try to get them to talk to us. And I feel like both Charles and Nick gave us, a good 5 to 10 minute talk. They sparked us. Now, chat, it's on you, man. We are winding down here on a Friday night. Murph, let me see. I had a list of stuff from this week. What do you think? So, all right, let me ask you this. A random dude named Jamal Pritchett is also Xavier Gibson's size, and he's been popping in camp. It sure seems like there's now a competition between him and Gibson for punt return. What do you make of that? As I think Pritchett's maybe from South Carolina Gamecocks. Are you happy there's a competition? Yeah, talk to me.
Yeah, so I was actually going to bring something about this up earlier whenever Matt was talking, but I didn't want to take too much time out of our time with Matt. The way I look at it, I'm not super familiar with Pritchett, but if you had asked me before this stream, before I'd even really heard the name, I'd heard the name before, but I didn't know from where. Um, would I rather, was it Jamal Pritchett? Is that his name? Jamal Pritchett or Xavier Gibson on the Jets roster for 2025-2026 season? I would have said Jamal Pritchett. I don't even know the freaking guy. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's great because if we can get somebody that actually knows what the hell they're doing back there at punt return, I'm all about it. I would prefer Arian Smith do it. I'd prefer him to be great at it and him do it, but I'm not going to be upset over some other guy, some undrafted free agent or whatever, taking up the mantle and doing his thing there. So I'm all about it, dude. Give me some Jamal Pritchett over Xavier Gibson.
Jake Asman had the Zach Wilson chart that he showed over and over again. I feel like this is my chart because this is a punt. Guys, if you see Xavier Gibson down in the bottom right corner catching a punt, what do you think his next move would be? Do you think he would maybe shoot for that NFL logo? Maybe get 12 yards there? Do you think maybe he could counter it? Go back toward the hashes, which, as you can see, Clemens or somebody has an excellent block on that pat in the middle. He could definitely cut this back. But me, I'd go toward the NFL logo. Murph, what would you do if you're catching this? I mean, you're running sideways to catch it. Momentum is a factor. But talk to me. What if you're Xavier Gibson here? What are you doing with this punt return?
The most sensible way to attack it is to head towards this, like run, to the right towards NFL logo and ride that sideline down as far as you can. Unless you see a good cutback lane after you head that way. But the worst thing you could do is stop and evaluate what you got going on, because then you won't have any time. So it's either that or you catch it and you cut back. Because, I mean, like you said, the blocks look pretty good on that left side, too. I don't, you can't see beyond the screen. But no matter what, I feel like you got at least 7 yards there. I mean, my God, like, even if you hesitate a little bit, it looks like you have 7 yards to me.
I know you know this answer, but I just want to tell the chat because I think they would agree with what you just said. Minimum 5 to 7 yard return with the possibility of going 12. Like if he cuts it back and makes that first guy miss, it could be a touchdown. But I just want to let you guys know this was a fair catch. I repeat, he did a fair catch here.
At the 15.
And I have not a single person that can tell me why he fair caught this ball. Yes, he's running sideways to grapple it, but there's no one around. And this is exactly one of many reasons why we ride Xavier Gibson. We want him replaced. Bro bobbles. Bro gets nervous. Can it be fixed? Yes, but like, should we ride on it being fixed? Can we count on it when we need it? Like, I think that ship sailed. So I wouldn't mind seeing him be like a fifth receiver on this team. Quick slants, drag routes. I don't want him to be returning kicks anymore. And Jamal Pritchett, man, you want to pop? That's fine. If you can't, I'll find someone who can. What about Wang Wu or whoever we had last year returning kicks? Like,
Yeah, our Wang
bro,
was going strong last season.
it was penetrating every gap, man.
Yep.
Every gap. So that's what I mean. Like, there's no reason he's hung on to this job as long as he has. This is just an example because you hear everybody talk about it, but you don't often see literally a product that's just so
is littered with it. Between that and just bobbles and just bad decisions, like times that he should have fair caught it because there's like 3 dudes in his face and he didn't, and he just caught it and got tackled, or like his decision making back there is not great. Is he talented like runner? Yeah, but dude, this is the NFL. Like, you know how many talented runners there are like out there? I don't know, man.
Bro, I said the same thing about last year about Rucker. Like, I don't mind him after he has the ball in his hands. It's the getting the ball in your hands that no. Same with Gibson. I don't mind him after he has the ball in his hands. It's the getting the ball. No, I can't do that anymore, man. I can't. So, yeah, both those guys, they got some fixing to do overnight. We'll see. Hey, they're going to. I'm not saying these guys already lost their jobs. I'm saying be perfect if you want to keep it.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, the biggest thing is I want a safe punt returner. Like, obviously, I want a guy that can get you some yardage and kind of flip the field a little bit and stuff like that. But like, at least give me a safe punt returner that makes the right decisions. You know, like that's the big thing. Like make sure that he catches the ball no matter what, and he doesn't do something like this, because even somebody that's not a super talented runner of the ball is going to get you 5 yards there at least. You know what I mean? Like, I know people were clowning in the comments and stuff. I mean, like Hazel said, Quinnen could have got further than, you know what I mean? Like, we've seen him with the ball in his hands, stiff arming Tyreek Hill and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, man. Like, the guy is in his own head or something, and we just can't deal with it any longer.
That is a thing. That is a thing in this market. That is a thing with this team. We saw it with Zach Wilson. We saw it with Lazard, bro. Like you can Yipman. You got to correct it and you got to just snuff it out like a candle, because if you just do better and then boom, it's back, do better and then boom, it's back, I can't count on you, man, because eventually it's going to snowball. Shout out Jets Worldwide. And you're just going to be yipping all over the place. And I'm not having it. But most people agreed with us. This is a terrible play to fair catch. Like, Jesus Christ. But I want to read you a comment we have here and see how you interpret it. Jake, who always has his unique takes. It's his opinion. Great takes, actually. Thorough. He asks, why does it matter if any of us know how to play this right? We all know. He didn't know how to play it, and we cut better players. How do you interpret this comment, Murph?
Well, I mean, yeah, you're right, because I can quarterback from the couch all the hell I want to. That doesn't change anything that happens on the field, and really what it boils down to is coaching staff. Like last year we had such a stubborn regime in there, and I don't have anything against Sala or any of those guys, but man, once they landed on something, they stuck to it, whether it was the right thing or the wrong thing, and that's the problem. And like Jake said, we cut better players last year. I remember last year's cuts; it was nerve wracking because we wanted to keep everybody, and and then we even picked up guys throughout the year that were better at it than him, with like Wangwu and stuff. So like, why are we keeping this guy around whenever all it took was like a mid to late season pickup and bringing that like Wangwu in there, and he returned I don't know, he returned like 2 kicks for us. I don't know, but it's like, come on guys, like you can see the film, the game tells you who is good at what they do because it shows up. You just have to watch it and you have to man up and make the right decision. Like, I don't care if he looks good in practice, it's not showing up in the game. He had maybe 2 decent returns for us last year that I can remember, and they were like later in the season, I feel like.
If I had to guess, I'd say like 85% of the fan base just wants him gone. I'm not even going that far. I do think that if he turned his talents, like I said, to quick slants, drag routes, he could be a weapon. But I'm in the minority there. Most people just want him gone. I will say that I'd be willing to keep him as a depth receiver, but I want him no part of the new special teams unit. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. It's just after Garrett Wilson and after Lazard and Reynolds and Tyler Johnson, who does not get enough love. I think he's right there with some of those guys.
I agree with that.
Why, if you make Xavier Gibson wide receiver 5, I think that's the best wide receiver 5 you can manufacture on this roster. So I don't cut him right away. Do you agree?
I don't know that I've seen enough out of him at receiver either for me to even make that claim. I know I don't want to see him on those like Hail Mary plays where he got to score and stuff like that. I do not need to see Xavier Gibson running down the field for that. If
Which he
on
has.
he has to be buried. I
Bro.
haven't seen anything out of the kid other than one punt return for a touchdown. I can't do it. I don't. Tyler Johnson is a better wide receiver 5 than he is, in my opinion, and I haven't even seen him in a Jet uniform yet.
I will say against Buffalo, we have different people in the chat, so I'm saying it again. But like, Xavier Gibson was a Hail Mary wide receiver for us last year. So was Tyler Conklin. And that just boggles my mind that you had 2 of your 4 receivers on a Hail Mary be a 5'9" guy that weighs as much as me, and Tyler Conklin, who probably runs a 5 flat on a Hail Mary. Conklin, not so bad, but like, You can't get 4 guys that can get down the field fast and jump high. Conklin and Gibson are not that.
You know who'd be
So
good at Hail Marys?
who?
Mike Williams. Oh wait, we sent him back in. That's right. That's right.
Too soon, Murph. Too soon.
Also, by the way, we were bringing up Pittsburgh earlier and no continuity with Rodgers and all this and that. Isn't Mike Williams still in Pittsburgh? Am I wrong? He's not?
He went back to LA.
Did he really? Okay, okay. So I was wrong there. And it didn't matter because apparently Rodgers couldn't get chemistry with him. I don't know. Whatever.
That's the thing. I am so glad we're playing them week 1 because evidence suggests that Rodgers needs time to gel. And I think Will McDonald is going to be fucking ready. And they got Broderick Jones. Guess what? They're switching the side. They're switching his side. He's playing a different tackle than he was so far. And we got Will McDonald and Jermaine. Like the only thing that scares me is JJ Watt or TJ. Yeah. Why don't we keep that dispute through September? Yeah, I know. Keep that dispute going. He'll sit out week 1. How about that? Yeah, you like my takes?
I don't know. Who knows? He's been known to start the season slow anyway. Rodgers has done that quite a bit in his career. Even if he takes off and wins an MVP that year, like that one year, I think he threw like 3 picks against the Saints or something. He had a really rough game, his first game of the year, and he won MVP. You know, so like it is what it is. Hopefully he has a rough game against us, and Will McDonald ends up with 2.5 sacks, and we end up squeaking out the win against the team that we didn't get to see us win against last year.
Yeah, that's the sting of it all, man. We were there last year for the Pittsburgh game, and now but it's at home. I just don't get blown out. Stay within 1 score the entire game. Control the clock. Like honestly, that's kind of the team I want to be. Pittsburgh, grind it out, be annoying, and then in the end win. You know, we'll see. I do like we're playing them and then Buffalo because both of those teams, I think we can learn a lot from playing right off the bat. But yeah, chat's dying down, Murph. What do you think about rapping? Do you have any other topics maybe on your list you want to throw out there? I might have a funner one.
Funner one. No, I really don't. Been pretty unplugged. There hasn't been a lot to talk about. Obviously, we have camp and stuff like mini camp, but you know, it's so early in the season that even the takeaways, like positive takeaways, like I'm always like, tamper yourself, you know, because you don't know how it's going to be when the season actually starts. And these boys are full on 150% going at it.
You can take a little more from training camp because there's pads. Right now, you shouldn't take much. Again, Garrett Wilson's like a greased up pig. You know, you can't catch him right now, but we'll see. We'll see.
I saw a tweet from one of the beat reporters, and they were just like detailing how like the drives went. And I remember one of the things I saw was like Justin Fields touchdown on a pretty ball to so and so, and it was like, but I'm pretty sure he was sacked by Rashad Weaver, and I'm like,
Sabo
playing through sacks and stuff in this portion of camp, like that's it's hard to take away from that type of stuff.
Shout out Robbie Sabo. That I believe was him. You're right because they don't blow the whistle. They don't tackle the guy in the red. I don't really have a fun one, but I do want to mention. Let me ask you a question, Murph. Are you superstitious? Yes or no?
Well, I have Murphy's Law tatted on my chest, so a little bit, I guess.
Any thoughts to the fact that We have 23 minutes left, but it's currently Friday the 13th. Does that spook you at all?
No, no. I've actually been the opposite. I think throughout my life, I feel like I've always had really good days on Friday the 13th. Like, just like nothing bad happens. Like, everything's like cool. Like, it's always like the most chill day. I don't know. So, I don't know where this whole like bad luck or whatever, on Friday the 13th thing comes from. I don't know. But it's always been, I actually look forward to Friday the 13th. So, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to have a good day. you know?
Tyson, the Cornhusker, man. Shout out Nebraska, man. The Heat, dude. Here in Oregon, it's like it stays steady between 50 and 63 right now. Today, I don't know. I could not stay warm today, but then I hear that there's a heat wave everywhere else. I'm kind of jealous. But what about Jason Voorhees? That doesn't cross your mind when it comes to Friday the 13th. You'd make okay. Here,
Movies.
have you ever gone trick or treating in a Jason mask? Yes or no?
No, no, I haven't. When I was a kid, dude, I was a ninja for like 5 years straight. I wanted to be a ninja so damn bad. But yeah, no, I never. If I did costumes or whatever, it was always more elaborate than just throwing on a Jason mask or something like that.
Not me, sir. I was horror all the way. I think I was Michael Myers like 5 times, Scream like 5 times. Uh, I don't know if I ever. Here's the thing with the Jason mask, man, is it's so hard to breathe in one. Because back in my like when I was in what 99, we're talking the Jason masks you put on, they had holes in them. The nose did not have nostril holes.
Oh, I'd have been piercing. I'd have been ripping that.
Bro.
Yeah,
Otherwise, dude, I had a gold one that was badass. No nose holes. Got steamy and sweaty so fast. Yeah, I'm like, I'm not
yeah.
wearing this. I'll go scream again,
I was never a big a mask guy because of that reason. That was one of the big reasons. Is like you always get hot under there and stuff, and like people can't see your face, so when you're talking to them, they don't even know. Like I don't know. Like I'm a big like read somebody's face while you're talking to them to know what they're what they mean by what they say. I don't know. So yeah, I was never a big mask guy, but I do love like elaborate costumes and stuff like that. We have here in West Virginia and Weston, there's a like a haunted asylum thing there, and they do like walkthroughs. And actually, I have never gone to do the walkthrough. I'm going to probably this year. But like every year, they also have like this big. It's like a party. It's asylum's ball, and they do like everybody wears costumes or whatever. It's BYOB. They have like a band on one end, a DJ on the other end. It's a good time. And they have a costume contest and stuff. And the year that I went, dude, there were some really badass costumes, and I always appreciate that. Like the people that put the effort and stuff into doing those. I always thought that was pretty cool, man. So Halloween's that's a good holiday, man. I like Halloween.
You said you were a ninja 5 times. Would that also be your same answer if I asked you what your personal favorite, the best costume you've worn as a kid? Would it be one of the ninja iterations or something else?
I don't know. As a kid, I guess it would have been that or whatever, but I've done some as an adult that were pretty cool. I did a few years ago. I did Aragon from Lord of the Rings. I did, the whole thing, the wig and the sword. I had a legitimate sword I got that I was using. It was
This is content, guys. Like this is cool. I love this. Aragon you were that's badass, man. Yeah,
from
you
Lord of the
dude. If you have any old photos somewhere next week, we can show them off. I don't know. I did ask the chat if they had any of their own personal favorites. They're winding down as well. We still got 14 watching on YouTube, so uh, anytime we can wrap. But I want to ask you. You were unplugged. I don't know if this was a troll account or not, but I saw Brees in a video this week. I want to show it to you and I need your take. Was this a troll account or was this a real video? Here we go.
So I think it was legit, dude. The gloves that they have nowadays are crazy, man. They'll make it look like it's your hand, and they'll have like a logo and stuff. There's all kinds of stuff out there. It wouldn't surprise me if they had gloves nowadays, with that logo, and they play music, when you
Yeah.
open up. So I imagine that's probably what happened. I think it's legit.
Yeah, same, bro. Sauce Gardner, though, I will say, real talk. He was in some pressers this week, man, and he looks bigger. I even mentioned it to you guys on Discord. I said, "Bro looks like probably 5% bigger." Maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe it's because he was wearing cut off, like he was wearing hardly anything, but like he just looked bigger. I even said it on Twitter, and of course, people took it the wrong way and were like diddying the hell out of it. Because I said he looked 5 to 10% larger. People got weird, but Sauce saw it and he actually retweeted me and he said, I can't divulge basically what I've been eating." And then people took that and they made it weird all the way down. Dude, this thing got like I don't know, 300,000 views or something. Um, Everybody's saying, "We know what you've been eating, dog." And some people were like, "There's going to be a piss test arriving at your door tomorrow because this is just crazy." But like, I think personally, the fact that he retweeted me and said that, yeah, he might have been trolling a bit with the Ice Spice thing, but I think it was more so like he might have a personal chef or a nutritionist that might be doing something different. I really do think he is bigger. Um, and I don't want that to be lost in all the troll comments that made that thing take off. There was like 100 retweets of like, "Bro is wilding out and shit," like crazy. But then I had a nutritionist chef guy retweet it, and I'm thinking, I wonder if that's the guy that Sauce is using. Just connecting dots. But anyways, like, you saw the tweets and shit, so like you know what I'm picking up on. But like, do you think that can help a guy like Sauce who is trying to become a better tackler? He's trying to command 30 million a year and a penny because someone else is making 30 million. He's trying to command that. Does this move your needle at all? And if you want to comment on the Ice Spice stuff, you can. But like, I just talk to me, buy me 30 seconds, okay? And give me your take on that.
I not gonna comment on the Ice Spice stuff, but uh, bro looks like he might be on the creatine. Maybe, I don't know. He does seem a little bloated up there a little bit. Look like he's gaining a little weight to him. I don't know that it pushes the needle for me necessarily. I have to see it translate onto the field because we see guys make with these body transformations and off seasons all the time, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they have success on the field after that. I understand Sauce, his tackling is a little questionable, but to me, I just want him to be really good at what he's really good at. I just want him to be the kind of guy that can just shut down whoever's opposite of him, command that side of the field and say, "This is my area. This is my area. And if you're in it, you're not open." Like, that's what I want to see out of Sauce. I, you know, could he improve on the tackling? Sure. I hope he does. But I don't think he should be put in positions where he needs to tackle that much. Like, like if he's shutting down his side of the field, I'm not worried about his tackling as much. Like, You know, we got linebackers and shit for that. Like, obviously, come in and help. Like, don't just, you know, if they're running the ball, don't just stand there. Like, do your part. Try to do your part. I'm not so hard on him about the tackle breaking or the tackling. You know, just focus on, like, the thing is, like, with a corner getting getting bulkier and stuff, you worry about his fluidity, because, and that's something that Sauce has always been great at going into the draft. One of the things, and this is something I love to see out of corners, like, I love to see fluid hips, right? If you can turn your hips on a dime real fluid, and it's not even a hindrance to your running, that's a corner. Like, when a corner can do that, that's excellent. And Sauce is great at that. And it's usually, you don't see them big, long, lanky dudes are usually a little more boxier in their cuts and their movement and stuff like that. He is so fluid, man. He can just pop them hips around on a dime, and it's no problem for him. He doesn't lose speed. He doesn't, and that's that's what I like to see out of Sauce. So I just want to see, if you're gaining the weight, make sure you're still able to do your job. And if you can improve in tackling, great, but it's not like my highest priority at the moment. Like, obviously, he's a competitor and he wants to get better. That's an easy spot for him to look at and say, "Hey, I need to be better," you know. But a lot of that is going to be technique as well. You're going to have to wrap up, dude. Wrap up and drive if you want to be a better tackler. Having the weight helps, yeah, but if you wrap up and drive, you're at the very least going to slow the damn running back or whoever down to where somebody else can get there. So, yeah, just make sure your coverage is top notch. That's my main thing. See, Tyson, thanks for coming in, bub.
You know what? I love that. Very polarizing guy, because I think there was meat left on the bone last year. I know you do too. But then you look at his advanced metrics, and he's first in PFF grade. He's tied for first with forced incompletions. We all know how he likes to poke the ball out and, adjust a corner or adjust a receiver. Completion percentage allowed 50.9. So when they're targeting his guy, they're only catching it half the time, which is kind of crazy because you got comeback routes and quick hitches and all that mixed in that he's covering, as well as the deeper shots. First, tied for first. So, like, he's an analytics darling. But we all know, like, we watched, see a lot of people grading him and shit. They didn't even watch 17 games. We watched all 17 games. There was stuff to be fixed and improved on, and maybe stuff that doesn't hit these metrics, like, tackling when Michael Clemens or Will McDonald doesn't seal an edge, and they're just running straight at Sauce on off tackle plays. So we'll see. We'll see. But I do think that if he did add mass, even a minute, like, does it affect his fluidity like you talked about? Does it? We don't know. What I posted that originally for is because it intrigues me, and it still does. Doesn't mean I'm sold. Like you said, you got to see it. I'm with you. I got to see it as well. But there's also the idea of, if we're more aggressive in the front seven, like we're going to be, he's going to have more opportunities to pick balls, not just like real opportunities. So we'll see. We'll see. We got some steady chatters that are hitting the exit. I think it's probably a good time for us to as well. Murph, I had a good time. Like I said, I came into this not feeling my greatest. Here we are hitting hour number 3. And yeah, any final thoughts from you?
No, other than, happy birthday to Johnny tomorrow, as our good buddy Snowball just pointed out. Happy birthday, Johnny. We love you, man. Appreciate you popping in for a little bit tonight. Yeah. Other than that, no, we're in the slow season, man, and we'll see how this thing unfolds as the summer goes along. When we start getting padded practices and stuff, it's going to be that's when my interest is really going to be peaked because I want to see how people, how people are acting in their practices whenever they're actually getting hit. So
You know,
so
we had Green Bean, we had Matt O'Leary, we had Adam, Dylan Terryman, we had way early. We had Joe Blewett. We had some big guests, man. But I just want to tease that we're not done yet. I got a couple on the docket. Maybe I'll save like the better ones for camp, but I don't know. I think right before camp is going to be a good one. So like here in a month. Um, but yeah, stay tuned in. Hit the subscribe button, the bell, whatever you got to do, because we're normally the only game in town when Jets Worldwide signs off on Friday nights. Come hang out with us, have a beer, start your weekend right. And if you've been working all week like Murph, come here and learn what you missed all week, like you did tonight. Jermaine Johnson, bro. Huh. He might start camp on the pup list, but he will be ready week one. That for me, like X factor numero uno on this team, ahead of Fields for me. Because am I crazy in saying that I know what I'm going to get from Fields and I'm not worried about him one bit?
as boomer bust as he is, that is a little crazy. But I do get what you're saying about Jermaine Johnson because that will make a huge difference on our defense, man. Like I think that's a very underrated. It's not an addition, but it kind of is. You know what I mean? I think
I,
I think he could make a hell of a difference on the defense, especially in the run game.
like I said, man, 85% of his former self in year one post injury. You give us that and not a Carl Lawson. If he gives us a Carl Lawson, we're screwed. Okay, I'm saying it now. Like any positivity and optimism you heard me spout in the last 3 hours, if Jermaine Johnson gives us a Carl Lawson, yeah, all bets are off, man. 6 wins. But I don't see that. Jermaine's not that guy. I actually think that it's Jermaine that we see week one. Call me delusional. But back to my Fields point, I do want to state this. I say I'm not worried about him one bit. I know what I'm getting from him in a sense of he's going to be a weapon, not a passer. Like, and that's the thing. Like, if they try to force the pass, if he throws 35 to 40 balls a game like Rodgers, that's not, I don't know what I'm getting. I don't. If he throws 22 balls and he runs 11, I'm sorry, but you run 11 and you throw 22, I think we can win a lot of games.
Yeah, yeah. It just depends on what they do and what Fields does. I don't want a ton of like design quarterback runs from him. I just want him to make the best out of every situation. So if you have to break out of the pocket and there's still nobody open, just take off running with it, dude. If you get 5 yards, that's better than taking the sack there or trying to force a throw that ends up being an interception or an incompletion. You know, I just
That
want
was
him
a
to
th-
be
that
smart and make the best out of what he's got.
that was a thing this week too. I guess he got praised briefly by Glenn in red zone for throwing the ball away. And of course, people are like, "Oh, well, we heard that was Sala and Zach Wilson, whatever." But like, no, that's cool. Like you said, make the best out of it. Run if you have to. Just don't force it. If you got to throw it away, that's fine, man. Like, just don't lose the game for us. That's all I ask. Lean on Brees. Lean on Garrett. If you can get Mason Taylor to find the holes in the zone and just sit, then guess what? When a play breaks down, you got Fields scrambling, Mason Taylor sitting somewhere, and Garrett just zipping around. I like that. I like it.
Just make sure when you throw it away, you don't throw a pick in the process like Zach Wilson did.
Yeah, it doesn't even throw it out of bounds. He throws it toward. Yeah. Oh God, man. At least this quarterback will run forward, not backward.
If you had to remind me of the Carl Lawson era, I'm going to remind you of the Zach Wilson mistake.
Dude, he was a specimen. Like, he would roll his jersey up so you could see his core, and he would look like a fucking turtle, man. Like, he was just ripped. But when he got that Achilles blown out and came back, he was just not. He was toast, man. And he wasn't even old. What was he, like 26, 27, maybe?
Yeah, he wasn't that old, and we were so excited for him. We really were. He was excited to be a Jet too. I think that's part of it too. Like,
we could have cut bait with him, and we extended him, and we just got. Yeah, it was a bet. Definite egg on Joe Douglas's face with Carl Lawson, and Ken Law, Mekhi Beck, like.
Especially with the Carl Lawson, because it was Carl Lawson or Trey Hendrickson. I don't know what the balloons are for, but
happy birthday, Johnny.
Yeah, happy birthday, Johnny.
You're the first to tell him.
Yeah, that's what does it. Okay. Happy birthday, Johnny.
Happy birthday, Johnny boy. Wide. Johnny boy. All right, man. I think that's about it, man. Hey, have a good night, Murph.
Yep. Have a good night, everybody. Appreciate you coming in.
If you're still one of the 11 here, hit that like button. Spike that like, as we say around here. And we'll see you next week.
I love the show. I love you guys. Fucking, let's go Jets. JTS, Jets.
Can't all be beautiful.
You're in the danger zone.